of people. We'll be thanking a lot of people, but we're going to get right on it because we have a lot of people. Greg Stenstrom's up first, one of our regulars. Great guy. Not wearing my flag shirts, but I won't hold it against him today. Greg, come on down.
Hey, it's great to be here. How's my sound, Raj?
Good.
Sounds really good. Sounds really good.
Good. Well, it's always a pleasure to be here, Steve. I haven't let off in quite a while. I'm here patting down my beard here. Yeah, I'm wearing a suit because I have important stuff to say today, and your shirt is currently at the cleaners, so I have to get two. Anyway, it's always a pleasure here, and I know this week we're speaking about Illinois. Do I have that right, Steve and Raj? We're going into Illinois this week?
Yep, we're here, Illinois. You're the second person on is going to be the chair.
All right. So for leading off, election and officials and lawmakers across Illinois have been confronted with renewed scrutiny over voter roll maintenance and election transparency. Lawsuits have been filed under the National Voter Registration Act, NVRA, alleging failure to remove ineligible voters, dead voters, non-residents, duplicates. And the DOJ has finally weighed in with what they call a statement of interest. That's very important. What's happening in Illinois is just a symptom of a much larger, deeply embedded national problem. And we focused on it at a weekly basis, at a bi-weekly basis with Stern America. But today, I'm able to make a public announcement. We've been alluding to it a few times, but on March 24th, 2020, 4 people plus 750 John Does and Jane Does filed a federal qui tam lawsuit. It's spelled Q-U-I-T-A-M under the False Claims Act on behalf of the American people. And on May 22nd, that case was officially unsealed. Up until a week ago, we were working to make sure that it was unsealed, but as of a week ago, as an operation of law, the case was unsealed. So you cannot, I don't know if you can see it yet, but it's Schindler, Stenstrom, Mancini, Heitman, and then 750 John Does and Jane Does versus Michael Horowitz et al. It's in the U.S. District Court of the District of Columbia, and it's case number 1:25-CV-00866. That case is under Judge Amir Ali. It's been unsealed. It names 117 U.S. government officials in the Department of Justice, the U.S. Attorney General's Office, the Inspector General's Office, and the FBI, among others, all senior officials. That has been in the works for over, actually quite a while now, but heavily in the works for the past year. We are what they call relators in the case, meaning we filed on behalf of the United States to recover damages and expose fraud committed against the government. And the target here is not it's not a company, it's not a state, but it's the core federal oversight system itself. The reason we're having problems in every state, Pennsylvania, Illinois, California, Arizona, Nevada, Georgia, Wisconsin, Michigan, is because there has been no interaction by the DOJ or the FBI. They've been free to do whatever they want, knowing that there was no oversight and no overwatch, and that anybody that did bring a case to the DOJ or the FBI or the Department of Justice was squashed, obstructed, and whistleblowers were retaliated against. So what we've alleged is fraudulent certifications of compliance with federal oversight, suppression of whistleblowers through the IGNet's internal network used by the federal inspector generals, obstruction of lawful investigations related to election integrity, national security contracts, misused federal funds, and over $600 billion in funds. They've literally stole, if you look at GDP, let's just say an $8 trillion economy. That's where the T is in tango. We're not guessing on this. It's a very thorough filing. The evidence spans 6 federal agencies and includes sworn affidavits. It's been delivered to the DOJ, the U.S. Attorney for D.C., and the Attorney General. What's interesting about the case is we filed the case pro se, meaning it was done by citizens with no law firm or outside funding. This is a case that no one else would bring, including the DOJ, before today. So this betrayal in the public trust, if we can correct this at the federal level, will ripple down into the states so that people that have been working so hard, that are going to be following me on the show today on Steve's show, these people that have been working so hard, that have been scratching their heads going, where's the federal government been? Where's the DOJ? Where's the oversight? Where's the cavalry? It's coming now. We've identified those people that have been obstructing these investigations, these people who have been actively working against the good citizens and patriots that are on this show. The federal oversight apparatus is not broken. It's captured. So what I mean by that is the rules were good. Our laws are good. But the system itself has been captured to thwart the United States of America and fair elections, and basically to extract wealth from the U.S. citizenry and defeat us as a nation. These are enemies of our country that have taken over these control nodes, and this case exposes those people by name, and they will be held accountable. So I believe our case is the first to connect the dots at the federal level. We're demanding a jury trial. We're seeking discovery, although we don't really need it. We will hold accountable every individual and entity who conspired to silence whistleblowers, patriots, and deceive the public. We have hard evidence of this. This is not about politics. It's about principle. It's about lawful process. It's about honoring the oaths that we've all sworn to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. So I'm watching my time closely. I know we have a big lineup today, but what happens next is over the next few weeks, what we're pushing for now is having the case being unsealed as an operation of law. What happens next is they have to have a hearing to develop a trial schedule. We expect the case to go before a federal jury by probably late fall, early winter 2025, 2026. We're going for the sooner the better. We're going for a full jury in the DC court. If successful, this case will expose those federal government agents and those senior officials, many of them appointed by the U.S. Senate. It will expose these people for who they are, what they did, how they stole our country and stole our elections, and it'll expose a network of corruption embedded in the very institutions meant to protect us. So anyways, we're here to restore the truth. And for those in Illinois who will be coming on, working for election integrity, we appreciate all your work. Stay focused. And I'll say this to those in power who have ignored the law: your time is up. And to the American people, this is your case. We filed it for you, and we'll see it through. Thank you very much, Steve.
Thank you very much.
On and have a great show. And I love the lineup. And thank you very much, Steve.
You got it. So this particular election security call, and everyone, will be for a state. And this time it is for Illinois. And we're lucky enough to have the Illinois chairman, Kathy Salvi, to come on next. But before we do that, we want to thank some people who are streaming this for us today. Cloud Hub, Lindell TV, Stern American, Voice of the People in 58 different countries, OBBM Network, and the War Room. Many people are doing it this time. We have the most people ever streaming this, so it's really good. So let's get Kathy down here. Come on down, Kathy, unmute yourself.
Right. I think I'm unmuted. Thank you, Steve.
You are.
Thank you to this wonderful, thank you, Raj, as well. Oh, to this wonderful group assembled here and every person in the listening audience now and in the future. Thank you for allowing me to be on. Now, for the last 11 months, I have proudly been the chair of the Illinois Republican Party. Yes, there is an Illinois Republican Party, and we are very firmly our strongest committee and our most significant committee is the committee that we're here to talk about today, and that is election integrity. Without an honest election, how in the world can you possibly honor those who fought so hard in our country. And yes, every day I ask myself a question: where will the insults come today? And where will the contradictions come today in the work that we have before us? And I know we must be doing something great because of those insults and those contradictions. I was a candidate in 2022, and I know what it's like to be at the heavy hand of election irregularity when my name as the nominee for the Republican Party in 2022 was left off the ballot in Schuyler County. And I incredulously, that denied 5,500 voters in that small county from voting. And it was sort of, well, shrugged our shoulders. Well, so what? It's only 5,500 people that were disenfranchised, but we had to bring a lawsuit against Schuyler County to correct that. And I won't talk about that. I'd like to talk about some of the successes here in Illinois as we work together to fight for honest elections. I got a call today from our amazing new clerk who defeated an entrenched, very bad Democrat representative, a clerk in Will County, and she is pursuing through the sheriff's office and her state's attorney's office an election fraud issue. And I talked to her today about it to see how it's going, and it's a process. But I have to tell you, we have fighters and patriots here, many of them on this call and others soon to be. And I'd like to talk about some of our success this last year. We were able to, through a very rigorous and successful Get Out the Vote program in November 2024, contribute to the popular vote of our amazing President Trump and the America First administration that he has. He lost in Illinois by 16, 17 percentage points in 2016, and in 2020, we brought him in single digits. So we did contribute greatly, in spite of the fact that we have a very horrible governor, wealthy too, I might add, in Governor Pritzker, who's already posturing to run in 2028. And he is fighting this administration. He is fighting President Trump every step of the way. So part of our theme in Illinois is we have to stop Pritzker, save America from J.B. Pritzker. But let me talk a little bit more about your overall theme today. I read, and thank you, Steve, it says, the fight to defend free and fair elections continues. This national call brings together Americans committed to transparency, accountability, and constitutional values. Through precinct strategy and local action, we are building the foundation of change. That's where the rubber meets the road. It's in our vigorous talking, going into the communities in the 102 counties we have to engage people to become active. And whenever I'm on the radio or speaking to a group or talking to our county chairs and our township chairs in Illinois, I say, there's one thing I want to put in your head right now in the 2026 election cycle. I am assuming you're all going to vote, but I'm going to ask you, because of the crazy Illinois election laws, which allow a 40-day election cycle, I'd like each patriot to collect 12 ballots and get them in. Talk to your friends and your family members and your neighbors and your colleagues at work and tell them about what great things are happening under Republican leadership and that this can be possible in Illinois as well. And I believe this, our biggest treasure, are the moms and the dads and the families who want common sense Republican leadership and governance. And that is what I am heralding across the entire state and encouraging our county township chairs and county chairs to invite more precinct committeemen to become trained and committed to this effort. And I'm happy to say that we have partnered with the Leadership Institute in allowing trainings throughout our state. We had one this past Saturday in Southern Illinois, and there are several more that are up and coming. So one thing that an ordinary person can do if they want to be involved and straighten out our state is to get involved and to, according to the laws and election laws in Illinois, collect those ballots, get those. Now, I know there's people on this call who feel that that's not effective, but we need to chase the vote in order to be effective here, because certainly the Democrat Party has more effectively gotten their voters to vote in that 40-day election period. So I like to tell people it is just a matter of simple mathematics. The party that does a better job at collecting their votes and getting their voters to cast those ballots over that 40-day election cycle will mathematically win those elections. So what I'm excited to see is so many red-pilled former Democrats and people coming out of the woodwork here in Illinois who want to get involved and they just don't know how. And thanks to a great team of people on our election integrity call and our leaders, they are much stronger and more effective organizations. So we're working toward that Republican renaissance. And the second thing I encourage people to do all over the state is go to the White House webpage every week. President Trump and his team need us to be of one voice, an America First voice, and get behind what is happening and make those discussions your dinner table and breakfast table discussions, so that the news of this great administration and the work that it is doing could be brought down to the neighborhoods and to the communities and to the families, to each one of our homes, so that we could become spokespeople, because certainly you're not going to get it through the news and the mainstream media, right? And so I suggest people who say, well, look at what President Trump is doing, tell them about the no tax on tips, and that we have this secure border now, and we're not going to allow illegal border crossers to become voters lined up in the precincts in Chicago or elsewhere. So we need to continue to fight to promote the great message of what it means to be a Republican. Less government, lower taxes, and more freedom. And is certainly in Illinois, we're hurting. Here we are, the 6th biggest state in population. We're the home of the Chicago Cubs and the Chicago White Sox and the Chicago Bears. And yet many of you who travel to our state sort of feel this pall over the state because of the heavy-handed Democrat governance that we've had to endure these past 8 years, and also a supermajority in the House and Senate. And so the way to become active is not to say, oh, Illinois is a lost cause. No, then you become self-defeating. We need to become more engaged. We need to plant our roots deep here in our Illinois soil and look at the beautiful things that Illinois offers, and say that better governance from the Republican leaders that we have coming on the ballot this 2026 cycle will make the difference. And so each one of us have a part to play in that. So don't write Illinois off. Please, each one of you, double down. And, some people even say, Kathy, you've always either something in my mailbox or an email asking for money. Well, I tell them absolutely. That's the easiest way to support your Illinois Republican Party and your local party, is to write that check. So we'd like more, of course. If you want to become a precinct committeeman or woman, we invite you. If you would like to train to become an election judge and keep eyes on the ballot, we invite you to do that as well. So there's many different degrees and ways to become a participant in the process and to save Illinois and to save America. And I'm grateful to have had this opportunity to be with you, Steve, to share a little bit. But if I can just share with you, in our 2024 election cycle, we touched just close to 7 million people digitally by mail and email. And we had 77,000 voters, low propensity Republican voters, vote by ballot early. We had 202,000 low propensity Republican voters vote early. That was by mail, vote early in the election cycle. And as I say, we brought President Trump's numbers within single digits. Another thing that we achieved was, and this might not seem like a tall order, but our candidates for state house and state senate in many of the county board races were outspent 30-1, 12-1. And we maintained every single state house member and every single state house senate member, and picked up, as I mentioned, the several county board seats in the collar counties and many county seats as well. So we've got a lot of work to do to turn Illinois around. We want to work. These gerrymandered districts are a really big problem here. We send 14 Democrats to Washington, and not a one of them voted for the one big beautiful bill that was recently passed and signed into law by President Trump. So we have our work cut out for us. We need to add to the congressional numbers and to our state house and senate numbers, so that we could change our election laws, make them fair and balanced, and then bring some bring better success to Illinois, to all Illinois families and small business men and women who depend so much on it. Who would have ever thought? The Republican Party is the party of the working men and women, and the Democrat Party is not your grandparents' Democrat Party any longer. Who could be against honest and well-run elections? And yet the Democrat Party has manipulated the laws of each state throughout our country. And that's why we have such a lopsided Illinois. So
well, thank you. Thank you very much. We got that.
We're grateful to be here, and please help us. Thank you again.
Thank you very much. Next up is Annie Parchett, excuse me. She's the chair of Rock Island and one of the superstars of precinct strategy. Come on down, Annie.
Hi, everybody. I'm gonna need to share my screen, okay?
Yeah, go ahead. You could just hit the share button. Hit the share button and share your screen.
Okay.
There we go. We can see the Illinois Freedom Alliance on your screen. Go ahead.
Okay, great. Let's see. Okay, so my name's Annie Parchert, and I'm a founding member of the Illinois Freedom Alliance and the chairman of the Rock Island County GOP. The Illinois Freedom Alliance is a 501c4 grassroots organization founded with the purpose of promoting the freedom guaranteed by our Constitution through education and active participation in the political process. So what we do is we're bringing the grassroots groups together. We're a resource for grassroots groups, and we work heavily with the GOP to make introductions between the two groups and try to form a group that works well together. The grassroots and the GOP should work well together. In Rock Island County, we actually share the same office, which allows us to be staffed oftentimes 12 or 14 hours a day. So what we do is we provide voter information and civic education. We defend the individual voter rights. We promote free, fair, and transparent and impartial elections in Illinois. But we want to equip everyday citizens to get involved in the political process. So we're kind of here for the forgotten voter. We're the frustrated citizen. We're grassroots leaders who we're looking for those people that are currently yelling at the TV screen or complaining online, and we're asking them to, hey, let's do something together to make a difference. Let's make a real impact where it matters. And so we have several different initiatives, but this is a new one we've got. We started this in July 1st, and what it is Operation Precinct Power. It's a flagship program that we're focused on recruiting and training precinct captains to rebuild the local GOP infrastructure and promote election integrity. So kind of what we're doing is we're introducing people in the grassroots groups to our friends in the GOP. And we're introducing them and letting them work together. And we're cross-training. The GOP is providing some training. The grassroots groups are providing some training. But we have over 50% of our precinct committeeman positions are currently empty. And so that's why we're doing this, is to fill those PC positions. Without filling those positions, our candidates don't have a ground game. And so this is why it's so important that we work together on a program like that. Another effort that that's caught on really, really great in Illinois is a publication we started called Grassroots Quarterly. I think we're on our 10th or 12th issue. We've been doing it for a little while. Every quarter, we showcase local heroes. We provide strategic tools and give stories about what's going on around the state. We actually are starting some new publications that will come out in between these quarterly ones. One of the challenges I've seen, because I attend a lot of GOP and grassroots meetings, and one of the things I've really struggled with, even for myself, is grasping Robert's Rules of Order, and the fact that so many people seem to use it as a Robert's Rules of Warfare. So what we've come up with is a publication that breaks it down kind of a field manual edition so that we can have the key points and start everybody, grassroots GOP, both start using Robert's Rules of Order, because what we need is more effective meetings that have constructive discussions about things we may not all agree on. But we need to have the discussions, and with the Robert's Rules, they can be done in a very civil way. So we have a robust membership and volunteer program as well. So we're connecting volunteers with meaningful projects all over the state. Now, something we just kind of did started a few weeks ago, but we do a lot of training. Every Tuesday night, we train citizens on the Zoom call, been doing it for years, about different skill sets that we think they need. But we're like, well, what do we need to teach? So a few weeks ago, our director for the Operation Precinct Power, Carla, she launched this anonymous poll directed towards Illinois Republicans. It was a very eye-opening, and it's looking at the time. Oh, I've only got, okay. So the questions on the poll, the first one was like, how would you describe the strength of the Illinois GOP today? And 3 out of 4 Republicans responded that they believe the party's ineffective, and 1 in 5 believe it's divided. So that confirms kind of what we felt. The GOP doesn't have the messaging problem, it has a structural problem. It's not that people don't care, it's just that they don't feel represented, empowered, or included. To me, you define a problem like that, that's easy solution. Let's make them feel represented, empowered, and included. So that's what Operation Precinct Power will be doing. We're fixing the foundation of the party, and we're letting people know that the groups are working well together. We're going to fill these spots, win some elections. And let's see. The second question of the poll was, do you believe that you have any real influence over the direction that GOP? And out of 141 responses, 66% said a flat out no. They feel like decisions are made by insiders. But then 21.3, or about 1 in 5, said maybe, but they're not sure, how leaving only 10.6 believe that they absolutely do have influence. Interesting enough, those who absolutely have influence in the GOP, nearly half didn't know what a weighted vote is or what a SCC member does. So when we go through the organizational structure in some of our classes, you'll see more about that. I'm going to skip ahead just a little bit due to the time, but that we'll be publishing more on that. And if you want to get signed up for our email list, I'm going to jump forward to that slide here in just a minute. But there's a problem with the PC vacancy strategy, because what happens when you don't have anybody in a precinct? It's the only who benefits. It's not the grassroots. It's not the voters. It's the leadership that wants to stay in power without being challenged. So keeping those seats empty concentrates voter power into the hands of a very few. It keeps the same people in charge and keeps your community without a voice. It's not leadership, it's control. And so that's why what we want to say is that the precinct strategy works only when we allow it to. We don't have to ask for permission. If you want to work in your precinct, you put in a petition next week and you're in. You'll be on the ballot. So we need to fill these positions, and we don't wait for an invitation. There's not enough people to even call you to invite you, but you join us, join our email list at IllinoisFreedomAlliance.us, and we'll get some more going. But so I'm going to kind of skip through some of this, but we cover how to run for precinct committeemen in our training, and it's all very important information. We're doing voter registration drives. Cleaning voter rolls is huge. And so there's some information about how you can find our website. Illinois Grassroots Alliance is our sister organization. It's a 501c3. Any donations there can be used for nonpartisan activity and training and promotions that we are doing. That is, let's see, we're looking forward to a possibility that President Trump will be telling people that we're going back to hand counting, and the Illinois Freedom Alliance has been teaching hand counting for over 2 years. We have around 60 instructors that are trained to teach. We're always looking for people to host classes for us. So that's kind of what we're up to, you guys. And If you can become a member, that's what supports us. We're totally reliant upon memberships and advertising sales in the Grassroots Quarterly. And we get a lot done with a very little. And it's all because you guys help us. And the neat thing is that the district that's most improved on the recruitment of their precinct committeemen will win a life-size Trumper elephant, $30,000 parade elephant. So we're all working hard together, and we're so excited that you are doing all of this promotion for us, Steve. We appreciate you every day. And thank you, everybody. We love you very much.
Thank you very much. Next person is one of our favorites, Marley Honig, United Salvin American, fantastic girl, working around the clock. Thank you so much for being with us today. Come on down.
And Anne, if you could stop sharing your screen. Anne, if you could stop sharing your screen, please. Thank you.
Yep.
Go ahead, Marley, you're up.
Great. Thank you so much, Steve. Very nice to see you and everyone here. Always a pleasure to be a part of the Stern American and Election Integrity Call. I just want to update everybody on what Unite for Freedom has been accomplishing recently. If you're not familiar with our organization, you can learn about us at unite4freedom.com and catch up on all the incredible work this team of volunteers has already accomplished for our country since our founding in 2023. We are last week on Tuesday, I'm going to put the link here in the chat so people can take a look at the presentation.
Marley, I beg your pardon, just for a moment. Anne, I'll go ahead and stop your share. Don't do anything on your computer. I'll go ahead and stop your share. Stand by, Anne. I'm trying to get Anne to stop sharing your screen. So Marley, one moment.
Yeah, it's okay. Let's see.
Replace. There we go. Share. Okay, good. Stop share. Okay, thank you
There
for
we
patience,
go.
Marley. You're back on.
No problem. Thanks so much, Raj. So last Tuesday, Unite for Freedom had a press conference at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C., where we announced two major legal actions that we are continuing. One is new and one is a continuation. One is a lawsuit that we'll be filing against Letitia James, the Attorney General of New York State, and the New York State Board of Elections, as well as a variety of New York-based and national media outlets. The basis of this lawsuit we're filing against the Attorney General, Letitia James, is a conspiracy against rights. One of the things that we must hold sacrosanct as Americans is the right that we have inherent in the principles of our founding to question our government. And in 2021, a group of citizens in New York State, which is now all part of Unite for Freedom, had questions for our government. And we were very respectful and we were very comprehensive in addressing particular questions that we had regarding suspected illegal registrations in the New York State voter registration list and suspected illegal votes that had been counted from these registration records, as well as suspected illegal counts, which we observed in the 2020 election as a significant deficit between the number of votes counted and the number of voters that the New York State Board of Elections recorded as having voted. So with these three questions in mind and a pile of individual specific registration records and votes that we had sent to the Board of Elections for their review and for answers. And to be clear, at Unite for Freedom, we don't consider superficial answers to be adequate when it comes to our right to choose our representatives and our right to live in perpetual liberty under the principle of inalienable natural rights that the government must protect. So in terms of these requests that we were making, we were not likely or willing to be satisfied with a you could call it kind of a stock response, like, oh, I think those are clerical errors. I think that's 5 million clerical errors. So we submitted comprehensive reports a number of times to the New York State Board of Elections, as well as the Attorney General and various other state and county offices, as well as the DOJ. And in a very concerning and improper, or apparently improper response, 10 days after that comprehensive report on the 2022 election was submitted, a statewide campaign was launched. And in fact, a criminal investigation was opened into the citizens who had audited the state database, who had raised these questions respectfully and with great intent to be of service and help to the state officers. A criminal investigation was opened against those citizens. And one of the things that was most concerning about this was that the way the citizens discovered this investigation had been launched was through the newspapers. So what I'm saying is that the Attorney General of New York State, Letitia James, the New York State Board of Elections, and these various media outlets in New York and across the country conspired to print these allegations and publicize this criminal investigation before the people who were being investigated even knew it was happening. So it appears to be an abuse of state power. It appears to be an overreach in state authority and a conspiracy between the state and the media to suppress free speech, to suppress the right of every American citizen under the First Amendment to petition their government for redress of grievances. Of course, that does not include disrespectful communications. It does not include salacious allegations or other kinds of defamatory claims, but these were hardly that. These were registration records extracted from the state's official database, official record, which is the state maintains on behalf of United States Congress and the federal government, as well as state government. So these were certainly not casual or trivial concerns. And so the response of the election officials, the response of the New York State Attorney General appears to be a circumstance that was addressed, first identified and originally addressed immediately following the Civil War, called a conspiracy against civil rights. And unfortunately, the criminal investigation that was pursued against those citizens for 18 months bankrupted that organization, destroyed the volunteer effort that had been organized, including dissuading over 1,600 volunteers from further participation with the research project that was being conducted in a lawful, careful, and very meticulous fashion. And they basically trampled the rights of citizens to not only the right to vote, and to be clear, the right to vote includes the right to have your vote counted in the appropriate totals of votes cast, which is to say, those totals should not include inappropriate votes. And unfortunately, the New York State Board of Elections is unable to prove that the massive numbers of suspected illegal registrations and suspected illegal votes within their system recorded as valid and legal are actually valid and legal, because no living human being alive could make such a statement without individually investigating them. So we are filing this lawsuit against the Attorney General of New York State, Letitia James, and the New York State Board of Elections. We also announced last Tuesday that we are filing a lawsuit, or rather we are amending our existing lawsuit against the Secretary of State of Colorado, Jenna Griswold, and the Attorney General of Colorado, Phil Weiser, alleging that they have deprived the citizens of the state of Colorado the right to vote. Similarly, when we examined the official Colorado state registration lists and the official voter participation histories that the state of Colorado maintains on behalf of the federal government, we discovered extraordinarily large numbers of suspected illegal registrations and suspected illegal votes that would require not a superficial response, not a blanket wave of the magic election official wand that says what you are looking at is clerical error and I can just tell, but an actual legitimate investigation to assure the citizens of Colorado that they are being governed by consent, that they have provably chosen their own representatives as guaranteed under the United States Constitution.
1 minute, Marley.
Sure. And we plan to use this lawsuit as a significant lever to get Tina Peters out of prison. We believe and aver that the individuals and authorities that have targeted her and gone on the warpath against her, despite her efforts to comply with federal law, have actually deprived the citizens of the right to vote, and an investigation must be opened into their activities, including their activities to target Tina Peters unfairly and unjustly through their court actions for supposed criminal violations. And so those are updates from Unite for Freedom. I encourage you to support our litigation efforts to secure legally valid elections and justice for the American people, justice for Tina Peters. You can do that at unite4freedom.com. And you are certainly welcome and there to join our organization as a volunteer as well. We have people all over the country working on official presentations in front of town boards, city councils, and state legislative bodies demanding legally valid elections and reporting on the findings of Unite for Freedom across 32 American states. Thank you so much for all the work that each one of you are doing to secure American liberty and prosperity for future generations. And that is our update.
Thank you
Thanks,
very much.
Steve.
I appreciate what you're doing for Tina Peters. You know how much we love her. Jim Warwick,
Yes.
Womack, you're up next. North
Hey,
Carolina.
thank
You
you,
go.
Steve. Good to be with you today. Just two or three things that I would like to speak about with relevance to the larger group. One, many of you are aware that the last decided race in the 2024 election was decided just a couple of months back when the state Supreme Court race in North Carolina was decided by courts, particularly the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals, in determining that the Democrat justice had won. And part of the delay in getting that decision on our court case was as a result of some anomalies in the voter registration data that had allowed certain people who would otherwise be ineligible to vote to have cast a vote. And the race was challenged for months and months. It was finally decided by the courts that it was too late to fix the voter rolls, and so they decided for the incumbent Democrat over the Republican challenger. So the reason I tell you that is because this is an endemic across the country, with the voter rolls being corrupted almost beyond recognition in some states, where there are many more voters or registrants on the voter list than there are eligible voters. And the reason for that is because the National Voter Registration Act and HAVA from 2002, neither one really helped us with list maintenance. And the emphasis that all of you should be encouraged to perform is citizen involvement in reviewing the voter rolls and various aspects of the voter rolls, trying to help eliminate duplicate registrants, registrants who have moved. There are literally thousands of those in every state that have moved, no longer living at the address where they're registered, dead voters, people that have committed felonies that are no longer eligible to vote. And the states are remiss in not being effective in getting those voter rolls cleaned up. And North Carolina filed a HAVA complaint. I think Carol Snow from North Carolina had filed a HAVA complaint back in 2023, challenging the voter rolls in North Carolina, and the fact that there were well over 200,000 voters registered who were missing the HAVA required driver's license number or social security number last four. And barring not having issued either of those, they should have had a DMV identification number that was unique. And I will just tell you that in every state you have these problems where you've got registrants who are missing information or have invalid information. I think I think Rick Richards is going to follow me here shortly, and he'll talk more about this particular aspect. But I can't overemphasize how important it is to clean up those voter rolls. And Rick is one of the experts in it with Eagle Eye and can tell you more about that. But the North Carolina Board of Elections has recently changed over, but that did not stop the North Carolina or the U.S. Department of Justice from suing the state to clean up this problem with our voter rolls, with the missing SSN4 and driver's license information. And there's a bill, House Bill 958, that I was just testifying about over in the legislature a few hours ago, that is encouraging the capture of the full 9 digits of the Social Security, not just the last 4, to help with the voter list maintenance. I think that's an admirable movement. There are several states that do require the capture of all 9. I highly encourage the state activists to be paying attention to the statutes and the administrative code in your respective states, and to help try to clean that up, to help encourage the legislators to do a better job in statutory guidelines for list maintenance. We really can do a lot more than we're doing today. I want to also encourage people that are not already aware or members of the Election Integrity Network to consider joining. I posted the link to find out more about the Election Integrity Network. This is Cleta Mitchell's group that's nationwide, has many of us on this call as members or as monitors for that activity. We're trying to get all 50 states engaged. It is the largest national network that gets involved in election integrity across the spectrum. What I've referred to as all 8 lanes of election integrity, from voter rolls to the military voters to the poll observing and training and that sort of thing. So anyhow, please do go out and find out more about the Election Integrity Network. Get involved in that nationwide effort. And if you're a North Carolina resident and you haven't joined the North Carolina Election Integrity Team, you should join that. I also posted the link for that in the chat, nceit.org. And we are a nonprofit, and we don't receive compensation, but all of our effort is towards free and fair elections in the state of North Carolina. Last thing I would like to say is I really hope that people will get involved in promoting the Citizens Election Bill of Rights. You can find that CBOR document out at the Election Integrity Network website. Citizens Election Bill of Rights has a number of principles and values that we all hold dear, and we're trying to promote that among all of our legislators, both at the state and the national level. I think by getting the CBOR promoted, what we're really doing is raising that level of integrity on elections nationwide, not just in individual jurisdictions. But Steve, thanks again for having me on the call.
Sure.
We really appreciate being here, and I appreciate all the patriots that monitor. It's good to see Rick Richards and Mike Flynn and others coming on today. That adds a lot of value to your effort.
You got it. So, Raj, can you give me the screen? Raj is on the side. So let me just tell everybody that on September the 30th, and I'm not sure if everybody can see this, we are going to do a precinct strategy Zoom with millions of people. There'll be one person from every state being at. Dan Schultz will come on for the first 15 minutes, explain precinct strategy. We will have many speakers, 50 speakers, one in each state. It may take as much as 4 hours to put this on, but we'll keep promoting it for the next 3 or 4 months. Can you give me the screen there so everybody can see this? And Raj will be included in this.
Yes. People can see your screen. Steve, continue on.
Okay. So we got that. Raj, we got a couple of minutes. You want to go over some of your stuff that you've been doing?
Let me do it in just a little bit.
Okay, so we'll get Dr. Richards on then unless you're able to put your screen. We're also asking everybody to go to Stern American on X. If you'll join me on that, you'll find out what's going on. I want to thank John Goodman, who has helped me tremendously. We got him on a lot of Zooms, a lot of programs. Of course, Steve Bannon, there's nobody greater than him. I will be going also with Raj to Turning Point in December, and we are going to host a booth and start to go over with people what's going on with precinct strategy, election integrity out there. And Raj, you want to give me a little more information on that too?
We'll do that in just a moment. If we could go to Dr. Richards now, and then I'll come back later if we could.
You got it. No problem.
All right, Dr. Richards, go ahead. You're up. Dr. Richards, if you go and unmute.
Yes, sir. I am going to share my screen here. Let's see.
You have the best you've got the best backdrop of all the speakers this whole year. I'm loving this guy.
I appreciate that, and I'll be happy to share.
Okay, back to you. Sorry about that. Couldn't help myself.
That's okay. All right. So we are seeing, let's see. I guess you're seeing this screen, yes or no? Moving it around.
A lot of screens, a lot of screens.
A lot of screens. All right. Well, let me get off of that. Stop share and go back to just that one if I can. My stern. How about that?
Yep.
All right,
good.
now you're seeing this. Okay, great.
I see Ellie.
Ellie. All right. I'll talk about a couple of things today, and thanks for the opportunity, Steve, Raj. Eagle Eye and the People's Audit and Check My Vote have decided to share resources as well as a number of other entities. And we are going to be using the same databases. We are using different methodologies, but we're going to link those programs so that you can go to a single sign-on and work anyone, and you could actually work something in the Eagle Eye portion and then check it and check my vote to make sure it's correct, because two methodologies is far better credibility than one methodology. And we've run into the issues with the press saying, well, your results are different from their results. Well, now we'll be working on the same databases. And for comparison, to let you know, Eric has 24 states in DC, 71 million registrations. We now have 41 states in DC, 185 million registrations. We expect to have all of those. I have 34 right now, and the others are coming in, so we should have them in the systems by the end of August. More about that and the new Ellie program when next Steve invites me. We'll be launching that in August nationwide. But I want to talk about today what's going on in Georgia in a different vein entirely. We have been providing the audit data to Georgia about how nasty, terrible the voter rolls are for almost 3 years now. I've personally placed it in the hands of Brad Raffensperger 3 times, the governor twice, the attorney general once, and they've done nothing. So it occurred to us we should take a close look at the problem and start with the most important. What name are they putting on the registration? The Georgia application says, number 1, full legal name. It also says it's a felony if you don't put in your full legal name correctly. The Help American Vote Act also says full legal name. So let's pick one variable and take a look at how bad it is. In Georgia, there are 7.9 million registrations. If you take out the 15% that don't have a middle name and you adjust, you've got 1.6 million registrations that have felonious entries in them. In Illinois, 70%, since Illinois is our state. North Carolina, 15, Nevada, 25, 20% for Texas, Washington, and 16, Wisconsin. So if you don't have the name right, that messes up everything else that you're doing. There's no matching with the obituaries. There's no matching with the cross-state moves. There's no matching with the duplicates. If you look at the data validation, these characters are occurring in name fields. There are 1.3 million special characters in names fields, which further prohibit any matching of any type when they're doing all of these other things to match. So it's wrong. And if you look at from a data validation standpoint, what's going on with the Social Security Administration master death file, in 2011, they stopped reporting the full date of birth. They stopped reporting the last known address. They stopped including state-reported deaths. They restricted access. There's now a master death list and a limited access master death list, which is the only one that non-governments can obtain. And they have prohibited the release of death records for the most recent 3 years. So if you use the SSA master death list, you don't get the most recent 3 years, and you don't get any deaths that were reported in state. After they made the changes in 2011, they took 4 million records off the obituary list. So the SSA master death list is pretty worthless right now. This is a data validation audit that we've been doing for Georgia for 3 years now with registration, special characters, property tax, residential addresses, mailing addresses. This is now being automated. If you go into Ellie, you'll be able to print out this for your state, for your county, for your precinct. We got an idea to do a little something different. Since they didn't want to do the audit, we contacted the Georgia Department of Audits and Accounts. I met with, several of us met with Greg Griffin, the state auditor, and he said, we can only do an audit if a law has passed or a task order is presented to us by the chairman of the government accountability. I'll get to it in the governmental affairs. So we decided to do that. On March 12th, we presented to the State Committee on Governmental Affairs. We shared the data that I showed you. And then shortly thereafter, I had an opportunity to meet with Blake Tillery, the chairman of the Appropriations Committee. That was the one I was trying to reach, get a while ago, the Appropriations Committee. And I showed him the data. And he made the appropriate comments you would expect. And I said, would you be willing to file a task order? And he said, yes, I would. So a couple of weeks later, he filed the task order with the Department of Audits. Here's what's in it. They prioritize the list. Full legal name on registration applications. How many applications were the full legal name checked before approving the application and adding it to the name to the voter list? We know the answer to that one. It's 0. How were these names checked for full legal name validity? How many applications did not? How many applications were corrected? How many active or inactive? We then did the residence address. How many were checked for an eligible residence address before the application was granted? Same things. We know they're not checking them. How often are the resident address checked against the post office NCOA? We check the mailing address. We then ask them to check the maintenance policies and procedures for the state and the county versus federal requirements, state requirements, and the Election Assistance Commission best practices. We already know the answers to these as well. So we're forcing the hands. The reaction from the Department of Audits and Accounts was on June 6th. This went in on May 28th. On June 6th, a week later, they said, yeah, we'll do the audit. As you can imagine, this sent some reverberations throughout the state that the Department of Audits is going to audit the Secretary of State and the counties. And the result was, here's what he's asking him to do. The same thing that I was just talking about. This is the distribution of who it went to. And 2 days later, the Secretary of State sent an email out to the 159 counties in Georgia announcing that they're going to begin using a tool to flag voter records that appear to need additional review. Looking at the name, date of birth, address fields. UPS, Post Office, FedEx, DHL, P.O. Box, test, missing. These are items straight out of my March 12th presentation to the committee. So they're going to do this. They're going to use this tool for the first time. In fact, they're so proud of it. They had a press report.
Yeah,
had a press conference, announced they're doing all these things. And that's on July 2nd. And then on July 18th, I'll leave this one with you. The Secretary of State came back out, the General Counsel, Charlene, came back out and said, well, don't do this, don't do that, don't cooperate. If anybody shows up from the DOA, let us know. Don't let them into the Garvis database. So 3 years was giving them the exact same data that was presented on March 12th. The task order came out. The Department of Audits said they'll do it, and boom, 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 boom. Just thought I'd throw that out for your pleasure and see what you'd like to do with it. I'm going to share one other thing here since I have a little bit more time. I'm going to show this. Let's see. So this is the new Ellie. So we've got a few minutes. I'm in Georgia right now. Let me go to Illinois. These are the states we have loaded already. The others are being loaded. We'll go to Illinois. And in Illinois, we have automated the parameters so that we don't have to do all of the manual looking that we used to have to do. So total registrations, total registrants affected here with mailing address, incomplete errors, which is what I showed you. Those that are moved, registered, and voted. Those with property tax issues like homestead, no bedrooms, that sort of stuff. That's the obituaries. We buy the obituaries, all the obituaries in the United States. We buy all the property tax records in the United States. And this is various voter information that we look at as well. But anybody, we're going to send this out to all 3,134 election offices in the United States. They will get credentials, as will citizens. If you want credentials, we can give you credentials. And here's what you get. Here's all the commercial mailing receiving. Here's the bad invalid addresses. Here's a line missing primary, missing secondary. In Illinois, you got over 400,000 registrations that don't have the secondary address. You have 11,000 don't even have the first. And then we have broken, wrong predirection, primary. All of these ranges are invalid. So you can download them all. We'll just click one. Let's click this one. And here it is. Here they are. You want them as a CSV file? Click right here. You want to download the full list? Click right here. And they're yours.
Dr. Richards, sorry for the interruption. 1 minute before Mike Lindell comes on. 1 minute.
All right. So that's I've shown you about 5% of what we can do with the new Ellie, coalescing all the data. If anybody else would like the data, we are putting the voter roll, the U.S. Post Office NCOA, the U.S. Post Office CAS, and the BCC proprietary change of address data into an archive, and get in touch with me and you can have access to the archive. Thank you for the opportunity to share. Look forward to next time.
Thank you, Doctor. And if you could stop the share, please. If you could stop the share.
Yes, sir.
Great. Thank you. Mike Lindell, welcome. You're on.
Hey, Raj, how long do I have? I need to, I
10
know
minutes.
I got
10 minutes.
10 minutes? Okay.
10 minutes.
That's
10 minutes,
perfect.
30 seconds if you need extra, and we'll sell a couple of my pillows.
Okay. All right, everybody. Well, I want to get right to the point then. We had two great back-to-back lawsuits that affect the whole country. And one was with the My Pillow lawsuit in Colorado, which everybody has had questions. Part of that, the old Frank speech and myself, we're still fine. Put up the jury. The jury said we owe this money. Well, I'll tell you this at the end. This is not going to be true. There's going to be a new trial, and we'll tell you why. But the one that affects us as a country and everything we're doing for elections is the $5 million challenge. If you guys look, 2 weeks ago, it was the #1 story in the world. Went out to 58 countries. The federal court in Minnesota overturned this verdict, and I'm going to backtrack a little bit so you understand what this was and how important it was. Back when I had the cyber symposium in August of 21, where I invited cyber guys from around the country and world, politicians and news media in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, we all got there, and I put out a $5 million challenge because the evidence I had at this time that they had to prove that it was not from the 2020 election. So we put it all out there, and we had the cyber symposium. A lot of you on the call went back to your states and said, hey, we've got problems here. But in the meantime, the cyber people that were going, well, yes, it's from the 2020 election, except for one guy. And this guy, I'm not going to get into how corrupt this all was, what happened, but he went before our panel and said, hey, I proved that it's not from 2020. And they said, no, you didn't. This is rubbish. We don't even know how he got in there, but because he's not a credentialed cyber guy. But anyway, a cyber expert. So then he took it to binding arbitration, and another year went by, and he wins in 1 week's time. Everybody, we didn't hear from the arbitrators. We didn't hear for the longest time, and in a 1 week time span, Fox News on Tuesday that year in April, and they made a deal with Dominion to pay $787 million. Okay. That came out on Tuesday. On Wednesday, Mike Lindell came out in the news. Mike Lindell's evidence is all bad. He loses $5 million. He's the conspiracy theorist. And then on Friday, they fired Tucker Carlson because he was going to start talking about electronic voting machines. Now, okay, so fast forward. So since that day, every single time we get closer or doing something, they go, Mike's data is no good. Mike's data, it's been disproven. It's all lies. It's all lies. Going back to this $5 million challenge. Well, we took it to district court to appeal it. And they said it would be very rare that it would be overturned because it's binding arbitration. The appeals court said last fall, you know what? The district court said they did something wrong in arbitration, but we're not going to overturn it. So I said to my attorneys, they go, well, Mike, I said, what else can we do? It is true. They're using this against us. This isn't about $5 million. This is about the media saying that this is discrediting me. Well, anyway, they said, well, you could go to federal court, but the odds of it happening are in the billions to one. It hasn't happened in 40 years. Well, everybody, the ruling came down 2 weeks ago, and just check it out with Mike Lindell News. They overturned it in federal court, unanimous. I think there were 3 judges. They all said, you know what, if they overturned it. So this is huge. And why is it huge? Because we can look back and they can say, hey, it was all over the news. That data is good data. And now, of course, we now have so much more. We have cast vote records. We have data files from every state that I have. But this affects the case, not only that, but from 2 weeks ago, because now my attorneys are going to ask for a new trial because that judge let that $5 million challenge into the Colorado courtroom corruptly when it wasn't even finalized. So we're getting a new trial in Colorado for the part that they did say, even though they said that Mike Lindell did nothing malicious because he believes what he says, which I do. So these were 2 big wins. And the My Pillow one, you guys, is so important because imagine people suing people with lawfare and television shows or podcasters, and then you not only sue them if they say something wrong, but you sue the advertisers. Nobody would advertise anywhere. You know, Steve, you'd have a hard time selling flags. I mean, it would be tough, right?
Flag shirts.
Flag shirts. But I'll tell you guys, this was so important. And then as you see the Tina Peters thing, I know I met with the president about 3 weeks ago, and he did congratulate me too on this big win for the country with the challenge. And he had kept saying we're getting Tina out. Well, I don't know what will happen there, but I know she went to the court, and I think the judge is deciding. But I really believe that all of this stuff ties back. She did her job. The evidence I have, by the way, now everybody, if you go to LindellTV.com, you can scroll there and it says inside the machines. I put all the different kinds of machine manipulation out there, the evidence we have. Cast vote records report. I have the data file reports. I have the Mesa County image, the backup that Tina did. All that's posted there, so nobody can say there's no problems with computer manipulation in our election. And I will say this, that this opened up so many doors for everybody because you get down at the county level, which we have teams, and to go to paper ballots, hand counted like our president wants, and you get all this pushback. Well, there was no problems. Well, now, yes, there was problems, and there are problems. So people said, come up to me, Mike, you've been vindicated. I will not rest or be happy until we have paper ballots hand counted like 132 other countries do. And we're going to get there. And the president, by the way, everybody, he hasn't announced, as far as I know, his special prosecutor for these election platforms yet, or his task force teams, but I think it's coming real soon. And because he's working from the top down, and you all and myself and everybody on the call here, we're working from the bottom up as always to secure our elections. And I really believe that. And I'm going to have some more announcements very soon. Speaking of elections, and me personally coming up, and we'll keep you posted on that. But I'm really excited. There's things have turned. I believe we're being very proactive now instead of being reactive and always trying to defend ourselves. And by the way, everybody reported this case except for two outlets, Fox News and Newsmax. So remember, they're not going to report stuff about our election problems because they're afraid of lawfare. I don't get it, but all the other outlets, all the fake news, they put it right out there. They even used a good picture of me for a change, Steve, instead of this like looking like this thing. I mean, they used a good picture. I was very surprised with the media. I had media outlets calling me from around the world going, wow, I haven't heard you from a while. Are you actually going to write a decent article about this? Because there's no other way they could twist it other than saying Mike was right, you know? So anyway, that's what I got for a report, and everybody keep going because we've got to secure our elections by these midterms and even by the primaries and the midterms, and it's so important. We can't let. I told our president we can't let. I said, sir, I promise you, these 4 years of all the great things you're doing are not going to be in vain. And I think I speak for all of us on this call. We've got to do our part so that so that all these great things aren't just a little blip in history, that they actually got some good foundation to them. And I really like the fact that he's been commenting about, putting God back in our nation and God back in our schools. The nation had turned its back on God, and that's all. All this stuff is just unfolding, and the truth's coming out everywhere, and God wins in the end. So I'm very, very, very hopeful, and you guys stay courageous, because courage is contagious, and that's what we need right now.
Thank you very much, Mike. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
On in a few more weeks again to report what's going on. We love you
Right
guys.
on.
Take
Thanks,
care.
Steve.
You
Yeah,
got it.
thanks.
Next up is Carol Davis from EIN. Come on down.
Thank you, Steve. And I certainly share Mike's sense of urgency. The days are slipping away fast, folks. I'm
And
Carol
Carol,
Davis.
if you're able to turn your camera on, please do so.
I'm
If you're not,
sorry,
please
I am
continue.
out and about, Raj, and
That's all right.
sometimes
Continue
the
on.
video,
No
sometimes
worries.
the video causes glitchiness. I
No
apologize.
worries. No worries. That's okay.
Yes.
Continue on.
So anyway, I'm the chair of Illinois Conservative Union. I also lead the Illinois Election Integrity Program, and we work very closely with Cleta Mitchell's National Election Integrity Network and also with Judicial Watch. And we do strongly endorse, like Jim and Dr. Rick have said, everyone getting connected with EIN. I want to take a few minutes of my time to share other people's events, important events coming up. In Illinois, Networking the Network's Faith and Fire Conference this Saturday. www.networkingthenetworks.com. If you lead a grassroots group or an advocacy organization in Illinois and are looking to connect and grow, or if you're an activist looking to join an organization that addresses an issue you're passionate about, this conference is for you. Networkingthenetworks.com. Also, Tea Party Patriots has their Only Citizens Vote bus tour coming up. Now, Only Citizens Vote supports the SAVE Act, the Securing American Voter Eligibility Act, which we managed to push through the House, but now it's sitting in the Senate. So Jenny Beth and Tea Party Patriots is helping America rally to get the Senate moving on this bill. It's teapartypatriots.org/Only Citizens Vote Tour, and they will have a stop in Illinois on September 2nd in Orland Park. So let's support that. Also, very important, August 12th is National Poll Worker Recruitment Day. And the Federal EAC, Election Assistance Commission, designates this yearly poll worker recruitment day. In Illinois, we call them election judges, folks. The EAC provides resources to assist with recruitment. In Illinois, the Dems have the game rigged as usual regarding election judges. Parity is not required in any Illinois polling location. They don't have to put equal numbers of Dems and Republicans in those polling locations. In the election code, they've got the Dems have put a formula in. It's complicated. Anyway, it often ensures that there are more Democrat election judges than Republican election judges. And that disparity is why it's critical that we all recruit, train, and deploy our full allowed quota of election judges throughout the state. Your precinct committeemen should always be trained to be out there consistently recruiting election judges. and poll workers in their local precinct. Candidates, when you are out there, also, you should be recruiting election workers. Your campaign volunteers can turn into poll workers and poll watchers when the voting starts. Okay, so those are three really important things. And the EAC is eac.gov, election officials, poll worker resources, and you'll find those resources. Now, very, very quickly, a little bit about what we do. We began as a Tea Party group way back in 2008, grew to be one of the 10 largest Tea Parties in the nation. Early on, we got involved on the front lines of election process and procedures. We became deputy voter registrars, election judges, poll watchers, and from those frontline positions, we began to see a lot that wasn't right in Illinois. So way back in 2012, before anyone else was paying attention, we started teaching our Guardians of the Vote seminar. Word spread, we were invited to speak all over the state. We've trained to date over 4,000 people across Illinois in our Guardians training, which teaches attendees how to analyze and watchdog every facet of the election process, from voter registration to voter list maintenance to Illinois election code. We are the organization that brought Judicial Watch into the fight for election integrity in Illinois. We've worked with Judicial Watch since I knocked on their door and did a cold call on them back in 2017 at their DC offices, and I built a great relationship with them. We are the plaintiffs in 3 lawsuits against the Illinois State Board of Elections, 1 settled so far, which gained Illinois citizens access to Illinois voter rolls, and the additional suits are working their way through the courts now. As they say, the wheels of justice turn slowly. Our pre-election nursing home mailing, we could never recruit enough poll watchers to cover every nursing home in the state. So prior to the start of voting for every election, we send thousands of statutory notice letters directly to the administrators by name of every nursing home and assisted living facility, detailing the laws they must follow to safeguard the voting rights of their facility residents. This puts them on notice that we are watching. The letter infers that we may have election integrity advocates who have a loved one in their facility, or possibly even one of their employees is part of our network. When we catch them and can document the issue, we also send statutory notice letters to county clerks, election authorities who are not complying with the law, putting them on notice that they may be dragged into court. Our Illinois Voter List Working Group, led by the wonderful Willard Helander, works closely with the National Election Integrity Network and the wonderful Dr. Rick Richards. For the past several years, they've been working with him, pinpointed many issues, and of course, among them being people who have moved out of state, registered in their new state, and even voted in their new state. So we're working on a citizen letter writing project to those who have moved, informing them that they're still on the Illinois rolls and giving instructions regarding how they can remove themselves from the rolls. Pennsylvania recently did such a project and succeeded in removing about 20,000 voters from PA rolls. So in tough states, hey, you throw everything you can at it and see what sticks, right? So we try every possible approach. We are now taking a cue and training from Pastor Jack Hibbs of Calvary Chapel in Chino Hills, California. We've begun a new project working with faith-based networks, pastors, and churches in Illinois for them to become not only voter registration sites, but also to help their church members request vote-by-mail ballots, helping them set up candidate forums, because there's no more Johnson Amendment, folks. They cannot be dragged into court. And we're doing the ballot, we're going to teach them how to do ballot harvesting collection sites, because Illinois allows harvesting like California does. We fight to keep local precinct polling places. And of course, we know the left is pushing for large anonymous voting centers where there's little accountability, along with massive vote by mail. So we're fighting against that. Quick closing thoughts. We never have enough time, we never have enough money, and we never have enough volunteers. So we, our side, must work very strategically as to how we can accomplish the most critical goals in the shortest amount of time with the fewest resources. our group, Illinois Conservative Union, is extremely careful not to get caught up in fads, trends, or the tyranny of the urgent. We're always ready to step back, take a deep breath, and reassess situations so that we are never wasting valuable time on meaningless tasks. Build strategic relationships. Working in silos is a losing strategy. Building out networks is a winning strategy. Thank you again. God bless all of you for all you do.
Thank you very much. Raj, you're up. Trying to get him on. Terry Newsom's supposed to be next, but he got into a traffic jam and he's running a little bit late. So we're waiting for Raj. Raj, you there? All right, we'll review a few things. Hang on one second. All right, so our next election security call will be around the 27th of August. And we will be delivering some great speakers. Also, if you get a chance, get your precinct strategy book. Dan Schultz going around the country talking regarding precinct strategy. We're getting a lot of people involved. Probably on next state that we'll have will be Arizona. And we're looking for speakers from Arizona. So if anybody's on there, please do it. Can you unmute? Raj, you want to unmute Terry? He just got on.
Stand by. Terry Newsom.
Terry Newsom is one of our podcasters from Illinois.
Go ahead, Terry.
Called Behind Enemy Lines.
While Terry is getting sorted out there, I want to just thank everyone. I want to thank everyone for all of your work and support for the Reclaim campaign. It was sold out. People are absolutely encouraged and lit up by what they see possible. And already various counties have set up their own Reclaim event. The next one is going to be September 17th. We just got a call here for another one coming up in October. So if you're on this call and you are part of helping get the word out, thank you for that. Steve Stern, thank you for streaming it on Stern American. If you're interested in seeing the recording of this event, you can find that at sternamerican.com. Click the Rumble channel and look for the Reclaim Town Hall Conference that took place on July 26th. If any of you are interested in doing something like that in your location, simply go to reclaimcampaign.com. Again, there are three simple objectives: teaching people at the county level how they can find a higher quality candidate that can actually win in the primaries, that's in August of 2026, how to raise more money earlier, so that you can actually win, and three, how to combine your force with other groups in your county so that your voice becomes the dominant voice in your county. It's imperative that we get this done while President Trump is still in office and in the focus of the attention. All of that is going to change somewhat after the midterms and definitely after his term. So we have a window here to take advantage of that. So with that said, Terry, thanks for your patience. Over to you, Terry.
Hey, hello. Sorry, I was a little bit late in traffic. Terry Newsom.
You're good.
I'm from a suburb of Chicago. I host the podcast Behind Enemy Lines. It represents us in Illinois, right? From the communist state of Illinois. So we're behind enemy lines. I think most of us are in the United States. Everyone's probably familiar that Chicago is probably in Illinois, and then specifically Chicago's the epicenter of cheating, right? And fraud. This has been going on forever. We'll talk a little bit of different view on what's going on here in the state of Illinois. So we have, so many more, convicted politicians. We've got corrupt unions. They're running our state, right? And we have the grassroots in the state of Illinois. And the grassroots are the foot soldiers to make everything successful. So voter integrity, voter fraud, and all this stuff is very, very important. But one of the biggest challenges that are facing us besides voter integrity and voter fraud is we talk about, vote by mail, the same day, early voting, and there's debates. Do we go the same day? Do we vote by mail or whatever? And that's a big debate on the Republicans in the state of Illinois. To me, what we don't recognize is an equally bigger problem is the Illinois GOP is feeble. I know some people are not, like hearing that, but our GOP is so feeble. the committeemen, the people that are trying to get people out to vote and struggle and fight and knock on doors are frustrated. You know, we have very weak leadership that does not stand up and defend us against the left. We have politicians that get elected, like our minority leader, that's basically a Democrat. So we have, you know, our cheating problem is complicated by not getting enough people out to vote. And if they're not motivated, if they're not excited to vote, it really doesn't matter if they're cheating. I mean, of course, I don't want to minimize cheating, right? So we have a massive problem, so that we have to tighten up the cheating, while at the same time, in parallel, we need like a war type general, you know, like General Patton, or maybe General Flynn will be on later, to get people excited, motivated to go out and do these things that most of you people are telling us to do, right? There's different things that we need to do to try to get people excited to vote. So, you know, like for instance, in some counties in the state of Illinois, over a 2-year period, they don't even show any deaths, right? Nobody died in a couple of years, you know, in a few years, which is absurd. And if we get people out to vote and stuff, we can maybe compensate for some of those cheating things that are going on. Another thing is that you all are probably familiar with the excessive amount of Venezuelans, and I've been tracking them, Trent Alargua, all the legal Venezuelans here in the state of Illinois. So Governor Pritzker and Janulius, our Secretary of State, are doing everything in their power to enable these. They call them residents instead of citizens, right? They call them residents. So last year, the state of Illinois allowed all these illegals to get an Illinois driver's license, just like me and my family. Before, it used to be slightly different, right? So that you would know that they're illegal. So he did that last July, I think. A month before that, Janulius, our Secretary of State, announced 4 electric van vehicles that are going to go out into the neighborhoods and get people those licenses, voter IDs. I had a guy call me from the Secretary of State's office, and he's retiring soon, and he's responsible for seeing the computers and systems and stuff, right? There's 1.1 million last year that were eligible to flip their illegal type licenses into a license just like a regular citizen, right? 1.1 million. You imagine, you know, I mean, how many of those people are going to be in a position where they can, you know, eventually lead into cheating? Another thing is that I don't think we talk too much about is, like, even if we control this illegal voting with the illegals, the Venezuelans here in the state of Illinois, this will happen throughout the whole country unless we start putting an emphasis on the next census, right? The 2030 census, where we cannot allow these illegals that came in, especially recently, to be counted for these congressional seats, because they don't even have to vote, and they could change the landscape of America. All these illegals are in the state of Illinois, right? I mean, most of them, not all of them, in the state of Illinois, California, New York. So the next election cycle, unless we don't do something to make sure that these people aren't counted, they're going to have so many extra congressional seats, we'll never win Congress again, right? Without even them even have, that has nothing to do with the illegal voting, right? So I think, you know, like, a lot of you guys are very active and stuff, and I hope somebody picks up that push to try to push the Republicans or our country to make sure that they cannot count these people and use them to give representation against our own citizens, right? Because we're going to have to pay for that. What else? So yeah, so another thing is that these Venezuelans here in Illinois, above and beyond the licenses, you know, I ran tons of FOIAs on, you know, these guys and women, you know, human sex trafficking, child pornography, but also they're caught with forged driver's licenses. Many have forged driver's licenses. Some of them had forged passports. Some of them even had the vehicle tags that were forged. And then they're printing out counterfeit money. So, I mean, these people are going to be in a position to illegally vote and change the landscape. I mean, for us in Illinois, it's really hard to stay motivated. Now we have this another layer of these illegal criminal Venezuelans and other, you know, foreign nationals that are in our country. Pritzker's trying to spoon feed them to find ways for it to make them easy for them to vote, and it's gonna make it really hard for us. But we have to fight. We have to stay motivated, right? You don't want to give up. You got to fight to the dire end, and hopefully, some point in time, we'll be able to turn this ship around with people like yourselves helping us. How am I doing on time?
Yeah, you got a few more minutes.
So let's see here. What else did I want to talk about it.
How do
I
people
really-
reach you? How do people reach you?
Yeah, so you can see me on Rumble, Behind Enemy Lines, and the number one Behind Enemy Lines. And if you go on X at Terry Newsom 357 at TerryNewsome 357. And if you follow us, I'm following Pritzker. I confronted Pritzker in front of all the news. Me and Ben Berkwam on Bannon's show when he was calling the residents. Ben was calling them out. So we're the only ones that are in the face of these Democrat politicians. Matter of fact, one other point, 4 years ago, you're talking about voter interference. Pritzker invested $30 million into the Republican primary. $30 million, right? What he did was he got the weakest candidate to win. He was successful. He got a guy that I really, really like, Darren Bailey from Southern Illinois, hardcore conservative Christian, far right, nice guy, deep Southern accent, like, Gomer Pyle Southern accent. And I'm not criticizing that. I just knew, that's not going to go over up in the north here. So Pritzker got all their money behind him. That guy won. Now here we got another election cycle coming up, right? So now we have a Democrat named Joseph Severino running for governor. It's backed by the Democrats in our primary. Again. So they're back in to disrupt. It's another form of voter interference that the Democrats are so comfortable and
That's
blatant
time,
about.
Terry, we got to wrap.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks very much, Dr. Jerome Corsi coming up. Let's go, Jerome.
Thank you very much, Jerome Corsi, and I want to report on the work we're doing with Peter Tickton, who is President Trump's attorney, Ticktin, and we've been doing an analysis on God's Five Stones, my website. Go to God, there's no apostrophe in the S, FIVE is spelled out 5, and stones is plural, godsfivestones.com. Now that includes Dr. Andrew Paquette's investigations, which show that there's algorithms, there's code put into the State Board of Election voter registration databases, actually in the computers of the State Board of Elections across the country, that allow for millions of false voters to be counted, be created, first of all, hidden in the database, and counted in mail-in ballot schemes. Now, the work we've done, if you'll study it at godsfivestones.com, is the basis of an executive order President Trump is going to issue in September. Now, the work we've done is really the solution here, because we've not tried to challenge a certified election. What we've shown is that the fraud in the State Board of Election computers is itself so criminal and so massive that it can't be fixed. So, and in fact, what's come out from Tulsi Gabbard and others, that the 2020, the Chinese penetrated the computers to affect the election, means that this is a national security emergency. So therefore, the solution is going to be, and I'm telling you now what I've been briefed on by Peter Ticktin, is the plan President Trump has, based on our research, is that in September, there'll be a new executive order, which will derive from the Article 2 powers of President Trump as commander-in-chief. And they will demand that the states abandon their current registration roles and that they create new registration roles, which will have to be refreshed continuously based on voter ID, based on proof of citizenship, based on a paper process. So no computers reporting the votes or recording the votes or tabulating the votes. And we have now a 17-page working memorandum that discusses how the new rules and regulation will be implemented, how the counties will work, how the precincts will work, how identification verification will work. And the system is going to eliminate this universal mail-in voting to return to a more tightly controlled absentee system. Now, because this is going to be done under the Article 2 powers of Commander-in-Chief, the courts and the states are not going to have a choice. They're going to have to implement this before the 2026 election. And so therefore, What I want to acknowledge is the work of everybody on this call, all the work that's been done over the years has gotten us to this point of proving that our election system is messed up beyond the point of repair, and it needs a universal fix. The Supreme Court has already decided that this kind of an executive order, the president can demand federal rules be set such that the states have to comply. I mean, that's of course the case with HAVA, which demands that the Help America Vote Act in 2002, which requires that there be only one voter ID for each voter. And that's violated in all 50 states by these millions of duplicate votes. So President Trump is not going to allow a political process to determine the 2026 elections. And based upon what we've demonstrated, that the computers have been penetrated, even the State Board of Election system, we have a national security problem where foreign nations can enter and affect our nation. Truthfully, we don't know who put these algorithms into the state databases. We just know that they're there in every state we've looked at. They're criminal. Criminal fraud is massive, and President Trump is going to take corrective action under these Article 2 Commander-in-Chief powers to rectify the situation. So I think we're at a historic threshold here. And I want to acknowledge the work everyone has done on this call and on other calls. And I want to acknowledge Steve Stern for putting these calls together. It's been a magnificent effort. And the president has paid attention. The nation has paid attention. And I think we're about to have a fundamental, historic redo of our election system with voter rolls that have to be proven to know voter ID, who you are, proof of citizen, you have citizenship, you have the right to vote, and constantly renewal of the voter rolls, re-registrations. So the process can't just be grandfathered with old registrations or corrupted by a State Board of Election computer system that can be easily corrupted by criminals who know how to create false records and vote them through these mail-in ballot schemes. So my presentation, I'll try to keep it short and to the point here, is that based on the work we've done and the others on this call, we are now at an historic point where I think President Trump can and will take action. And I think this effort is going to be successful, and we're going to see our fundamental rights of voter integrity restored, which of course would not be the case had Kamala Harris won the election. We're at the verge of losing our voting rights, which meant we would lose our republic. But thanks to this combined effort of all the patriots who participated on this call and others in the voter integrity effort, I think we are about to set this straight and get legitimacy back into our voting records. So that's my report, and I want to thank everybody for the opportunity to make it.
I want to thank you, Dr. Corsi. You have done a wonderful job in work. I know you've year after year pushing to get to this point, and it's very important. Unfortunately, Peter Tickton couldn't make it today. He's in court, but he will come on our next one, and we'll get together with you and him somewhere around the 27th of August. So it'll give us plenty of time to figure out what's going on. I'm glad to help you. John Goodman, I know, stepped up and helped you. We got General Flynn, who's coming on. I know he's helped you. So there's a lot of people behind us. And I know President Trump is finally listening through Peter Tickton and everything that you've done. So thank you very much, and we'll get you on again, and you have a nice couple of weeks. And we're going to get on a special guest today. We're going to get on Dr. Jimmy Tillman II, who is running for Senate. He's an author, historian. He's the founder of the Martin Luther King Republicans, and we're very happy to have him here from Illinois. Gave up a lot of time to be on today, so thank you very much, Dr. Tillman. You ready to come on? Let's get Raj to let him on. Raj?
Go ahead, Dr. Tillman. You can start speaking. You're up. Dr. Tillman, I see you're unmuted. Your camera's on. If you can go and start speaking. He may have stepped away from his computer. Let me see who's next. Vem Miller is also available. You want to go to Vem first?
No, why don't you come on and do a couple more things on what you were doing? It's important.
Okay, sounds good. Yep.
I'll wait for Dr. Let me.
Dr. Tillman, as soon as you come back on, just go ahead and speak up. So again, just a follow-up note here. There is now definitely both things, a level of frustration with the status quo. You've heard that from many speakers. We are seeing the same thing in Florida. Make no mistake that even if a Republican supermajority is not the answer for those of you that are in blue states, we have supermajority here in Florida, and yet we are having the same type of similar types of issues. We've got bills that are trying to extend parental rights that are being blocked. We've got bills that are trying to prevent U.S. citizens from voting being blocked, on and on and on. So the net result, though, is because of that frustration, people are hungry for an operator module, meaning a situation where they can be given specific actions to take. And so the actions we're taking at Reclaim Campaign, which is one of the things that Steve and I are rolling out. Steve has helped us by live streaming that event, is we're literally teaching people. And when we say we teach people, we're actually having people that are doing this do the teaching. So these aren't folks that necessarily are big celebrities. These are people that are being quietly successful at the county level, at the operator level. These are folks that are doing things like micro fundraising, which are small events that groups are doing to both raise money and increase membership within the groups.
Raj, Dr. Tillman says he's on, but he's having a problem with the volume. See if he can speak, and maybe you can help him.
Got it. Dr. Tillman, can you go and say something? Let me actually put you on screen here. Okay, so Dr. Tillman, I see you. I can't hear you, so likely you may want to choose a different microphone. So on your computer, if you would click on the bottom left corner, you see something that's called audio. If you can just nod on your computer, do you see something that says audio? If you can nod or shake your hands. Okay, nod. All right. There's a little arrow next to audio.
Okay.
Little arrow next to audio. Click that.
Say yes.
When you do that, you see a section that says select a microphone.
Okay.
Okay, I hear you now. I hear you now.
I hear you now.
Okay.
All right, great. Well, Dr. Tillman, we introduced you. I don't know if you heard us, but thank you for coming in. Good luck with your run for Senate and everything that you.
Well, thank you, Big Steve Stern. I appreciate you having me on. It's great to be on a call with so many good people. Let me give a shout out to people that have been on, and they helped me out a lot. Big Kathy Salvi, the Illinois godmother of conservatism. I appreciate you. Annie Purchett, the Joan of Arc of Illinois, and my man Terry Newsom, my brother in arms out here struggling and fighting. I don't know if everybody really talked about this on election integrity because I got in late, but we're gonna need to look at a lot of our Secretary of States, because here in Illinois, we have something called automatic voter registration. So when you come down, I think Terry said something about it. When you come down here, you get registered, they automatically register you. And so I know we're looking at passing all these laws, but sometimes we need to get people in the Secretary of State's office. You see, election integrity is really important. You know, it's like the last weapon the D's have to hold the urban community, you know, at hostage. You know, everybody votes in Chicago, from the dead, abandoned buildings, people live in restaurants, you know, it's rampant. But when I ran for Senate last time, I thought Cook County only had to lock on dirty voting. But in these little small rural towns, a lot of trickery also happens at the clerk's office here. Not here, probably all over the place. A lot of discrepancy, like a lot of let's keep these names on. So a lot of things we can look at. Here in Illinois, the Trump administration have already asked for the voters' rolls to be looked at. And that's a great step. That's a great step. And that happened here today. And now we're going to see what comes out of that. And from my understanding, they're looking at sensitive data from voters' information, like someone mentioned the Social Security numbers. They're looking at that, all those other things to match them up with people. Right now, it's a great day here in the voters' registration rolls in Illinois, which is great for me because I'm running for office. And there's my time here in Illinois, it's been a lot of trickery. In 2018, let me give you an example about voter integrity. Since the mail-in voting came in, people here in Illinois, they might do it again, but with a new Department of Justice, I doubt it. I think they're looking really hard here in Illinois. You will have mail-in voting, early voting, and same-day voting, sometimes by the same person. Now, 2018, that's how JB got in office. Big deal up. No one's looked at it. I got robbed that election. I got robbed. So since 2018, I've been looking very hard at this election integrity. Now, I want to say a couple other things, but like, give me an example. In Illinois, we have this long election process, early voting. Then we got to count these votes later on after the election. But right here, I don't even see it. It's like an Illinois petition, right? And in this petition, people here in Illinois have to sign, voters have to sign this petition, you know, they county, state, and everything like that, saying that they want this person or that person on the ballot. But this is what this contract tells the voters when they sign this petition. It says this: we, the undersigned members and affiliate, I'm Republican, so you know, it can be any party, Democrat or Republican. We, the undersigned members and affiliated with the Republican Party or Democratic Party and qualified primary electors of such party in the state of Illinois, do hereby petition the following named person or persons shall be a candidate for that named party for the nomination, election for the office hereafter, specified to be voted for the primary election to be held on March 17, 2026. Voters are here in Illinois signing petitions with a contract, hoping that on the 17th, they will have a deciding elector or that candidate that they sign or supporting, they would know on that day if that person is elected. Now, I don't know if this can be held up in court or something like that, but everybody signs this for people to get on. Now, I don't know how many voters might get disenfranchised because they stay up late, or sometimes, like in my election, it won't be called to the next day, and things like that happen, or 3 days, or 4 days, or 5 days, and even with the election of the president, a week or a month later. But here it says the primary election to be held on the 17th, and they looking for that person to be notarized. So I hope that somebody of importance that's following this will use that for a great example. Now let me just tell you about who we are. We are the Martin Luther King Republicans. We were founded in 2008, right after Barack Obama became president. We was founded in Trump Hotel that night when everybody was celebrating Grant Park. The reason why we formed our party, well, a little small tent in the Republican Party, was to be a space for Black Americans to come and join the Republican Party. Not saying that was not Blacks in the Republican Party, but we wanted to provide a space for Democrats who will be upset with the outcome of the election. Now, what I mean by the outcome of the election, in that hotel celebrating the first Black president, my group came to realization that that was it for the Black American here in the Democratic Party. They would use Barack Obama as a symbol to not do anything for the people whatsoever. And during Barack Obama's administration, you can see that came to relevance. You had open borders, and that just brought a whole new electric in. You had the Democratic Party taking shots at illegals, giving all the illegals benefits for Black Americans. So the Black man has suffered greatly under Barack Obama's presidency. So we wanted to form an organization to be there, a conservative organization. We are affiliated with the Heritage Foundation. I myself am a fellow at the Academy of Heritage there. I'm also a Sentinel, which is a Heritage Action Sentinel, which is a grassroots campaign. We do a lot of grassroots work. One of our greatest accomplishments, the Martin Luther King Republicans, was we were activated and dispatched to the great state of Michigan. We employed something called the Anaconda Strategy. Me being a history buff. Oh, by the way, Tillman's Handbook of Great Black American Patriots, you can get it at lula.com or tillmanfamilypress.com. Anaconda Strategy was a strategy that General Grant used to save this great country when they was looking at Lincoln and try to hold him up. So we tried to use a formal Anaconda Strategy where we circled the country in all urban areas, showing that the American First policy was the greatest policy for African Americans. So we did the unthinkable. We went to Detroit, Michigan, and found new voters. We even persuaded voters that if they didn't like the situation, to stay home. We did so much work that we feel so important that we did so much work for this country. So we now decided to use the Anaconda Strategy here in Illinois to see if we can use the same get out to vote, go meet the voters where they're at, to give them hope and show them a plan. And now with this lovely large law that the president's passed, it's easy to campaign here throughout the state to show not only Black Americans, but all Americans, but what's coming down the pipeline. And I know I got 2 minutes though, rocking it right here. It's JimmyLeaderDC.com, the MartinLutherKingRepublicans.com. But if you're running for office, it should be easy right now to run at this time, because last time we ran on Boys and Girls Bathroom, puberty blockers, all these immoral laws. With the lovely large law, Trump is, this first 6 months, he's get rid of all those complaints. Right now, we're running now on birthright citizenship and to see how we can get the youth to be employed here throughout the state with something called a basic law. It'll be on my webpage, a basic wage. It'll be on my webpage. Check that out, JimmyLeaderDC.com. MartinLutherKingRepublicans.com. You can check that out. Sign up for our newsletter to see what we've been doing. We've been doing so much with the help of this president. We've been doing so much for the president. We got the message that the Democrat was losing their blacks, and the Martin Luther King Republicans had to be dispatched to make sure that happened. And we on the front lines fighting with my man Terry, fighting my girl Amy, and with the lovely godmother conservatives, Kathy Salvi. Anything I need to say? Oh, by the fact, again, a shout out for the book, Tillman's Handbook, Great Black American Patriots. And we're going to be celebrating America's 250-year celebration throughout this country. Annie.
And
Richard. And Perch. I said Annie.
All right.
I said I did shout out. We're going to be celebrating 250th anniversary throughout this time. And my campaign is a campaign celebration, reminding everybody of the law, the large, lovely law, not the big, beautiful bill, the large, lovely law that Trump has passed down. And I'd like to thank you, Big Steve Stern, for putting me out here and let me talk to your people. And if someone can also, in Illinois, fight for this right here, it says right here that we should be elected on the 17th of March. And that's a contract we signed with the people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doctor. We hope you have a good election, and we hope you win. Thank you very much. Now we got Ben Miller from Nevada. He's got a podcast. Come on down, Ben. And then we're going to have General Flynn, who's waiting in the background, and we're really waiting to hear what he's got to say. He's going to have some great stuff to say.
Yeah,
Raj,
Go ahead, Ben. Go ahead, Ben.
Thanks,
You're up.
Raj. Yeah. Should I go ahead?
yeah, go ahead.
Yes, please go ahead.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys, for giving me the time here. I don't think I'm going to take all my 10 minutes. I really wanted to get on this call because prior to the election, our company, America Happens, was conducting an investigation having to do with the voter fraud in California, Nevada, Colorado, and New Mexico. Prior to the election on October 5th of 2024, I got a tip from 2 different truck drivers that said they were contracted to move ballots, which they were convinced 100% was illegal ballots. And by the way, I've dropped a 5-minute video in the chat here for you guys to check out. That'll explain a lot of the evidence that we have of what was going on there. And the gist of it was that we got a tip that 150 semi trucks and trailers were congregating in a port in Washington, in Washington State, Tacoma. They actually gave me the location of the port. The port is located the parking lot is located right next to the port where ships could actually dock. And we had 2 Patriot truck drivers as witnesses. They were terrified to reveal this information to us, but they gave us bills of ladings. They gave us the company's name. They gave us the supervisors of the company, who they are. We did some background research on the 2 principals of the company, found out that they had criminal past, but lo and behold, they had done no time. And certainly there was the hallmarks of people that are controlled and owned by the wrong types of individuals. Now, we know these ballots were coming in through Tacoma in this parking lot. Then 150 semi trucks and trailers would distribute them across California, New Mexico, Colorado, California, New Mexico, Colorado, and I believe Arizona. There's one other state, and it's all in the video with the testimonies of these individuals, by the way, talking about the shipment of these ballots. And so anyway, I just wanted to draw people's attention to this because this kind of got lost in the shuffle of the election. We were actually, very happy that Trump won. All the way up to the election, we're putting out, pieces about the fraud that we're all like very scared, very anxious. Luckily, he won, But this kind of got lost in the shuffle of the victory. And I would love to bring this back to the public consciousness. Like I said, the video is right there on my X account. And I just want to get the word out to find out what is going on with this company, have the right authorities investigated. I am 99.999% sure that whatever was going on was not kosher whatsoever. It couldn't be, because you have witnesses that saw these ballots being shipped across state lines and who put their lives and careers on the line to share this information. So a lot of this stuff is on there. I have a package that I'm willing to send to individuals without the names redacted, because, by the way, this has been published already by Joe Hoft on October 18, before the election of 24. He actually published a lot of this material, but everything was redacted. I have the unredacted versions, about 20 pages of documents, bills of landing, phone numbers, you name it, pretty much, for any, for any viable party to take this over at this point, because we pretty much maxed out what we can do as civilians. And we just need to bring this to the attention of the right kind of people, because this might actually, and by the way, Kamala just decided she's not going to run for office, which to me sounds like they can't commit as much fraud as they did last time. And hence, and therefore, she knows she has no chance. And this might be part of it. So anyway, I just want to share that with you guys. And my information is, my Vem Miller. You could always get in contact with me at americahappens@protonmail.com. Here's my second phone number, 702-601-9618. And I'm always available to help for anybody that wants this information and could help with this topic.
Well, thank you very much. While we're waiting, Raj, you still on?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
All right. Is General Flynn on yet? He's coming on at 4 o'clock. I'm not sure if he's come on yet.
I don't see him just yet.
All right. So let's talk about a couple of people who are helping us. We want to thank Captain Maureen Bannon and Grace Chung for helping us with Steve Bannon, getting us on today. Some of our podcasters that are doing this today, we'll give you a couple of names. We want to thank yournews.com, Sam Anthony, great guy. He has been doing all our feeds and everything else, helping anybody who wants to go to yournews.com. He's in Florida. Sam Anthony has always done a terrific job, and he's also, if you want to invest in the company, you can do that. Totalnews.com, my friend Norm in San Diego. He's been doing a terrific job, and his brother is in Arizona, so they do our podcast. George Valentine from the Big Mig. I've been on the show many times. He does our thing. We want to thank him very much. Some of the other ones that are doing our podcast, Terry Kaiser, Tea Time. I was on the show the other day. Todd Wood over in Atlanta. Vem Miller, who was just on. Joe Rosati, really thank you very much. I mean, it's on and on and on. We'll give you a couple more. Jim Tingley, Patriot Pulse podcast. Jody Cox, my very good friend, Just Jody, and her whole network. Larry Courtcan from OBVM Network, doing a terrific job helping us. Mary Starr, Awake to Truth Ministries. Matt Struck. Melissa Redpill, one of my first people that ever podcast a thing, always gets about 12,000 people on it. Murray Edwards on his radio show. I was just on there the other day. Randy Mansell and Darren Ross, Patriots with Grit. So you can see there's a ton of these podcasters helping us out. We get new ones all the time. Our biggest one is Voice of the People, Dan Schmiglio. He is one of our first guys ever to do this. Of course, my own, the Stern American show, the Stern American Rumble. Raj helps us get it out all over the place. Many, many people, Lindell TV, Cloud Hub, Facebook. Want to thank Rumble. They put us up on the front page. So you could see what this takes to put this on. And what it takes is my staff has to call Melissa and Anthony and Samantha, calling every podcaster to make sure they get their links, or we get their links. So That's just some of the things that has to happen to put this on. On top of that, I have 3 phones here working, getting people to make sure that they come on time, get off on time. So everybody that's listening doesn't stay extra. So hopefully we got our next guest on, the famous guy. Is he on yet? Raj? We got General Flynn on yet? Can you hear me, Raj? All right, let's get Raj here.
All right, I'm unmuted, Steve.
All right, there you go. Well, you see what it takes. I got to get you on
funny.
4 o'clock exactly. General Flynn, you know, for a little guy like me to do this and get the 4 million to 8 million people on, it takes 24 hours. And I know you work 25 hours a day.
Yeah.
So it's so great for you to be on here today. And thank you so much for giving up your time. I thought you were going to be in Europe, so we were going to stage you.
Yeah. No, I actually that was tomorrow, but I'm here for one day. Back in Florida, I just landed about, I don't know, 2.5 hours ago up in Tampa. And I'm heading out tomorrow. And anyway, I know I don't know which direction you want me to go, Steve. I can
Go the General Flynn direction.
Okay, all right, good. And I know first of all, you know, really, my hat's off to you, Steve, for just continuing to be relentless in growing this audience, because this audience is all over the world, and I know that because we just had a event up in Washington D.C. This past Wednesday and Thursday, where we had representatives from about 55 different countries. And, you know, we talk about different things, and, you know, and the whole idea about what this forum represents is a forum that they are aware of. Some of them were aware of it and had either been on it or monitored it. And they know that it's exactly the kind of thing that they need in many of these countries that are all over the world, that are looking at America and saying, okay, you know, we see what's happening. Are you guys going to be okay? And, you know, and because we need America to be strong, right? And I think what we have is a situation that we are not at war, but we are in a war. We are not at a physical war, but we are in a war inside of our country. Today I will post probably, I don't know if I'll get it out today, but hopefully I will. We wrote a national security strategy in one of the nonprofits that I have. And the number one threat to the United States of America is the threat from within. It is not China. It is not Iran. It's not Russia. I mean, those are in fact threats that do exist. It's not drugs. It is subversion. It is the infiltration of elements inside of our government. And if people that are even on here that are, they're still sort of skeptical about that. I mean, I don't know where else to point you, or what to show you, or I'll come and talk to you. But that's the threat. That's the number one threat. We clearly have other threats, and China is at the forefront of it. I will say that radical Islamism there is a civilizational war going on in Europe right now, and that is clear. Many of the leaders over there that are opposition leaders are trying to overcome that, but they're not having a great time. We in this country, we're not there yet. We're not in this sort of civilizational struggle. We're in more of an ideological struggle between essentially a form of, an American form of communism and our system of government, our constitutional republic. I had long conversations about the city of New York and the elections that are upcoming in the city of New York, and the different players and the real potential. This is going to be in this November. So this is not like in 2026, which is, I'll touch on briefly. in my comments here, but the city of New York, a lot of people don't know, but the city of New York is the third highest budget in the country. And that's only first and second to the US government and the state of California. So the city of New York is a beacon or a bellwether for how the United States of America actually, it's almost like a rudder, if you will, on a ship, right? And who's ever steering that rudder. And there haven't been great leaders. The guy that's there now, Adams, say what you want about him. I would say that a lot of the cause for the problems right now in the city and the fact that we have a guy by the name of Mamdani, who is a radical socialist Islamist, who could potentially be the next mayor of New York City, right? Nobody thought that the mayor over in London would be the mayor, but yet he is. And now you have 10 major cities in the United Kingdom that are now run by Muslims. So, this is not a Muslim bashing show, but I'm just telling you that if you study history at all, which I do, and I pay very close attention to the geostrategic trends that are going on, this is all part of the problems that we are facing right now. So when you think back to Obama in 2008, where the hell did he come from? And now what we're learning and what many of us have known to be the case. I mean, we have a lot of challenges ahead here, for those that are Americans. And those challenges, the most important challenge is really, and Steve and I have had a lot of conversations about this. I've talked about it on this platform before. The biggest challenge is to get people engaged here in the United States of America as citizens. I mean, this is the whole precinct strategy, the whole thing down at the local action, national impact level. One of the things that I am seriously concerned about is going to be voter turnout in these off-cycle elections, right? That we got a big off-cycle election coming up in November. There's primaries that are going on in different places of the country for different races. We have our, not presidential year elections in the 2026 timeframe. My guess right now, and it's a damn good guess based on historical trends, is that we will probably have 30% turnout nationwide in all those elections. Some places will be a little bit higher. You'll have a precinct here or there that might get to 60, 70. You might even have some that pop up a little higher than that, but overall, nationwide, we're probably going to be around 30%. That's terrible. And that's because many Americans still don't believe that their vote counts and that their voice counts. And so what we have to do is we have to make sure that our message is very clear. We can talk to each other here. And I'm enamored by Steve for everything that he's been able to do. Because when he and I first met a few years ago, it was a small group of us talking to ourselves. And now it's millions of people and it gets millions of views as each event goes on. This is now a big voice for many voiceless Americans out there, but we can't just talk to each other here. We've got to get the ideas, share those ideas. And then for each of us in our own neighborhoods, our own communities, and our own networks, our own ways, we've got to go out and do something about it. I mean, I'm now based on a conversation yesterday, I'll probably be up in the city of New York for a while, hustling the streets there, working with some of the people that I do know in some of the boroughs that are good people, right? Really good people. Because New York, we cannot have New York fall prey to, I think, just the idea that, just being apathetic. We can't have that. Can't have that in this country. It's happened in other cities already, right? Los Angeles, Seattle, Chicago, Boston, Atlanta, some of these other places, Kansas City. It's starting to look like Houston and Dallas. But New York's a different place. And so because the rest of the world kind of looks at it and goes, oh, so this is the direction that America's going to take. And it also gives energy to a ideology that is not akin to the constitutional ideology that we were created upon. I'm sorry. I mean, when people come into this country legally and they go through the legal process, they are asked to assimilate into the United States of America. And that's the way it is. That's the way a culture survives, right? I was with the ambassador for Hungary the other night, and I know Trump is thinking about these things. And I don't know whether they're going to affect it here anytime soon. But I was with the ambassador for Hungary the other night, and we had a great conversation with a large group of people. And Hungary gives now to women, it gives no taxes. If you have 3 children, you pay no taxes for the rest of your life in Hungary. No taxes for the rest of your life. And that's Viktor Orban, who's the president right now. And now they're looking at, because of their declining population, which America is a declining population, right? Because of their declining population, they had to come up with some incentives. And there's some other incentives that they have for people to have, for families to stay together, for women to have children. So there's other incentives. But right now it's for 3 children, no taxes for life. They're probably going to change that. He told me that within the next 6 months, he thinks it's going to get down to 2 children. That's a big deal, because for us to take it to the United States of America, right now we're at about 1.2, maybe 1.3 children per woman here in this country. And we don't have the family structure that we once had, right? So we're a declining population. When you become a declining population and you don't emphasize the family unit, I mean, then you have problems. You just got problems. And so we are going to kid ourselves if we don't think that we are not going to have to sacrifice here to be around for another 250 years. Now, I can see some of the rosy faces out there, probably, I don't know, I can see probably 20 or 30 faces out there now on the Zoom screen. I know you got a lot more than that on there, but I want people to understand that the United States of America is, we have leaders for temporary purposes, right? Like Donald Trump, President Donald J. Trump is a leader. Thank God he didn't get, that bullet to the head didn't wound him differently or kill him. And then the second assassination and other assassination attempts that we know of that have been tried. He's a very historic figure, but he's still only temporary for a period of time, according to our system of government. So that means that people have to get engaged. If you're not going to, I'm not, Trump this morning posted or tweeted out or truthed out or whatever we call it, the number of years certain members of Congress and the Senate have been in those seats, right? 50 years, 48 years, 36 years. I mean, we are not supposed to have people that stay in these positions, these political positions, for so long, because we see what they are doing. They've just been ripping off the American people. And what I told a group the other night, and it's a group of nations, and I told them, do not mistake what we are going through, what the United States of America is going through, as a weakness. Do not mistake what we are experiencing here very publicly, very transparently, in a very ugly way. Do not look at that as a weakness. This is a strength of the American system of government, because we can have this internal debate inside of our family, with all of the, metaphorically, with all the brothers and sisters, right, working in the government, people like myself, people like Steve and others that are on this net. We can have these arguments and these debates, and we can crash heads with each other, but we are going to find out what the problem is. And when we get down to the essence of the problem, this time around, we are going to do something about it. Something will be done about it because of what we have now experienced. And they really did try to get away with this. They tried to get away with it. So this is not funny. There's no games about this. This is very, very serious stuff. And it has to do with the future of our country. And for a guy that I've made my life about, service to the country from the time I was a kid, knowing that I was I was born on an Army base. As a kid, I always knew I was going to go into the military one way or the other. I did. And then, now I am serving in a different way. And the way I'm serving now, because people all, say, are in the government, out the government. Believe me, every single day of my life, I am focused on helping these people that are in these positions of authority that are doing the right things. Those that are doing the wrong things, we will go after them, and we are going after them. And from the perch that I have, I am far more effective, believe me, because I don't have to worry about talking points from the administration or worrying about whether or not this is going to happen, because I do know the structure of our government. I do know the way that it operates. I know the way that it functions, and I know the corruption that is still very, very deep inside. Last comment, Steve, and again for everybody. All the Americans that are part of this stream of consciousness and what Steve Stern has pulled together, all the Americans, everybody has got to take responsibility for this country. I don't care whether you served in uniform or not. Doesn't matter to me. Everybody has to take responsibility for this country. Everybody has. Otherwise we're going to lose it. We are going to lose it. And these people are not giving up. On that note, I can tell you that there are tens of thousands of people inside of our government, and I don't use that number lightly, tens of thousands, not a couple of people that served, in the Oval Office with Obama. I'm talking about tens of thousands of people in a government that has a couple of million that live and breathe in Washington, D.C., that are anti-American, that are anti-American. And they are inside the government. And they need to be routed out. And, it's not easy. And it's happening on a daily basis. Pete Hegseth is doing some things. I mean, Tulsi Gabbard's doing some stuff. I know the Secretary of State's doing some stuff. And this is in the national security arena, right? The national security arena, which is the arena that actually controls a lot of activities within the government, domestically and internationally. And principally, if you were to put a tip on that spear, that would be the CIA. Okay, now we've already learned that the CIA was directly involved in the the killing of the president of the United States. Okay, not the JFK assassination, the murder of a president of the United States. And frankly, they got away with it. That's why they fought tooth and nail for decades to keep the information close hold, right? And there's all kinds of other programs out there. So I want people to really, and I'm not being hyperbolic about this, folks. Okay, I'm not exaggerating. These are factual, things that we are for just our election system. We are working on a set of predicates right now that will eventually go to the president of the United States to make a really, I think, a relatively easy decision. He might think it's a tough decision, but I think by the time he gets it, it'll be an easy decision. But my last comment is personal responsibility, citizen involvement, precinct level matters so much. Local action matters so much. A leadership principle is control. Control what you can control, and take control of it. Don't worry about what you can't. And if it's something that you want to try, then go for it, right? Go for it. But if you can't control what Donald Trump is going to post on Truth Social tomorrow or tonight, don't worry about it. He's going to do what he's going to do. If you can't control, something that Lindsey Graham is going to say, let the people of South Carolina deal with that. And that's another one I'm involved in. And, you can't control something in the next state, don't worry about it. But if you can control your community or help control your community, your church, your network, you can influence in your own way, you can get involved, then please, please, please do. Because otherwise, we don't have any more excuses, folks. And for us to get another 250 years out of this experiment in a constitutional republic, for us to do that, it's going to take sacrifice, time, commitment. And that's why I love you, Steve, because you have been relentless, and that's what we need more of. So I'll stop there, Steve. I'll stay for, if you got a question,
I got a
question.
things I'd like to ask you because people have texted me and asked me, but the first thing I'd like to thank you because you made something happen that you don't even realize. How we got more and more people, you gave me your list of podcasters. From that list, we got a lot of podcasters. However, there are podcasters out there that have a big audience that refuse to help. And that's part of the problem in the United States. One of the things you and I talked about when I first met you was the other generals in this country that have retired that refuse to do what you're doing. They laid back. I don't know if they're afraid of their pensions or what it is, but we need to get some of them to step up because as a leader like you are, and whenever you come on, people listen. Now we have a lot, I know you will know a lot of generals and colonels and people like that, that were leaders that, you know, led thousands of men into battle. So why don't they step up? That's the first question.
Yeah, they don't step up because they're weak. Actually, when it comes to this type of stuff, these are people that are just weak. And you're right. I mean, you know, and a lot of these guys got good little cushy things going on. I mean, I don't think anybody on this network, maybe you do, but I mean, if you paid real close attention, I had part of my retirement paid docked by the Obama administration. Okay, and I'm still fighting to get that back. So, you know, these people are evil that we're up against. They came after me to send a message to a lot of the other what we call flag officers, right, generals and admirals. But I would say that because I know a lot of them, and they're very weak. And one of the things that I keep telling them when I do see them, and I saw a bunch of them because I've been in DC for almost 10 days now. When I saw a number of them who I run into them at the, at wherever, and I'll say, what's going on? How, first time I've seen them in a while, and they're like, oh, I don't want to, they're tooling around some company, to go to get some kind of defense thing, right? I mean, some of these men and women are so they look at what we're doing, in the country, and they just kind of go, well, I already did my service, I already did my thing. And I'm like, bullshit. You have a more of a responsibility now, right? So I don't have a lot of time for them. It's sad that there is an organization called STARS, and STARRS, and that's led by a great general officer, 2-star. And those guys got, there's only a couple of hundred of us that are involved in that one. And I'll get them more because I was not, I hadn't been involved with them in the last few months just because of other things going on, but they got heavily involved in the last election, to get more and more veterans, right? So they would reach out to their veterans network. So I think that's another effort, Steve, that we need to bring into this, because there are some good people out there, but what you're really highlighting, it's not the colonels, it's not the sergeants. The sergeants, they a lot of them are involved in different things. It's the really senior guys. It's the 3- and 4-star, right? They don't want to get involved because it's gonna cost me something, right? It's gonna cost me a board seat, or it's gonna cost me a contract. I mean, it cost me everything, right? But it's righteous. It's exactly what we need to be doing. I mean, I look at my grandchildren and I'm like, oh my God, I can't look at my grandchildren and live with myself knowing that these assholes, excuse my Irish, are trying to destroy our country. And so anyway, probably more than you needed on that question.
So the Chinese own property next to almost all our bases, and you're a national security guy. Why the heck isn't Trump doing something to get these people out of there? Because it makes no sense, as you saw what happened with the war with Russia when when they went into their right next to their bases and blew them up, and now we got all these Chinese that own property. And how stupid can we be to let that happen?
Yeah. So first, let me answer the how. How does that happen? The Chinese are very smart. They do. They'll create companies, and then they'll create subs to those companies, and those companies that end up buying the real estate will look like they're very legitimate. They'll look like they're a legitimate U.S. real estate development company, right? Because this is how the Chinese operate. Very smart. They know exactly what our rules are. They know what our regulations are better than most businesses in this country. So that's kind of how they did a lot of this stuff. I will tell you that there is a lot of money that's being paid to people at local levels in that arena. So the real estate development arena, the purchasing of properties, building, management, building and facilities. States, I think, did a really poor job, and some states didn't care. Michigan was one of them. I mean, oh my God, it was like carte blanche. So one of the things, so now that was kind of the how. Now, what is Trump doing about it? I am told that he is going to go in and start to potentially seize this property. So just take it from, if it can be tied to the CCP, that real estate will be seized by the United States government, and then held and then re-auctioned or something like that. But Trump is so livid about this, as he should be, as the president of the United States, that they were able to get away with a lot of this over the last couple of years. But it's been going on longer than you think. The sickening part of it is how close some of these developments are to very strategic capabilities that the United States military has. We can't have that. So Trump is fully aware of this. And he's got people I know that are going to be going to do something about it. And I think a lot of it's going to end up being seized.
Great. So I don't want to hold you more. I'll give you one more question. I don't know if you heard or saw, we're going to do a precinct strategy Zoom on September 30th. And the reason why we're doing it and put it on your thing, we'd like to get you on to talk. We're going to have one person from every state talking about what's going on in their state and how to get involved in their state. So Dan Schultz, myself, Raj are going to do this together. We expect to get 20 million people on it. So if you could spread that out, because just like you said, you called me a couple of weeks ago, and if Mike Flynn, General Mike Flynn, says to Steve Stern, I'd like to come on, rather than Steve Stern calling General Flynn and ask him, that means that our message is getting out there, and all the people that come on from everywhere. And all we do is bring the people together. And if we could get the most important people on, and maybe someday we'll get President Trump to come on to realize how important that all these people that do the work, that never get paid. We've got people on here. I know who's on here and who's listening everywhere. They do the work for free. I mean, Cleta Mitchell, Moms for America, True to Vote, on. And you know all those people because you've been on their programs.
Yeah.
That they're helping us, and they broadcast us. And President Trump doesn't realize the amount of people that we get on this thing. So if you speak to him and ask him, maybe because he gets on Fox all the time and he gets on Newsmax and all that stuff, but how important it is to get to the grassroots people, to ask them to get involved. Dan Schultz and myself with Liz Harrington had him do precinct strategy and endorse it. And he realized how important it was, because when I was at a conference with him, he said, if I knew about precinct strategy before the 2020 election, I would have won that election. So if you speak to him, see if you can get him to come on.
Yeah, I will. In fact, let's make a sort of put a mark on the wall for September 30th, see if we can't get, have him come in and speak for 15 minutes, especially if we can pull that kind of audience. And I'll leave you guys with this, Steve and team. I was in this group last week that we had a great.
And thank you for inviting me. I couldn't make it, but
it was really wonderful. But Eli Crane, Congressman Crane, won his district in a blue district, in a congressionally strong Democrat district, and he did it with very little money, but he did it using basically local action techniques. And he also did it using alternative media. So he really was smart. And we talked about this last week. We actually invited him to talk about, politics and the alternative and the use of alternative media. And I mean, he didn't have any support, really. The GOP didn't really want him. He veteran, great guy, just a great guy. And he talked about how he leveraged alternative media and he leveraged the local effort. And he won. He won in I think it was like a +10 district for Dems. So I can't overstate the power of what we are on right now, this platform. The the affiliates, I call them the affiliates that I have, that I use, to get a message out. We're upwards. I don't know what we gave you, Steve, but whatever we got, we'll give it to you. We had like 300 podcasters. Some of them, I know they only have markets of like 20,000 in a local area. Some of them have markets of 2 million, 3 million. I do agree that we've got to get some of these the bigger ones on to participate, but your participation on, Bannon's always been good, and some of these other bigger ones, we've got to continue to push that to then drive people to this, Steve. And we must keep this thing going. I mean, ad infinitum, right? We've got to work very hard for the upcoming elections. We can lose this country. It's not about losing a race anymore. It's about losing this country. And I will say that till the cows come home. We can lose this country. And we were very, very close. And it's not over yet. It's not over yet. The struggle is not over. And we have this man in the White House right now on a temporary basis. And frankly, you guys see it. I mean, for that, anybody paying attention, the GOP, they don't really give him all that much time, right? They're not big fans of Trump. So we've got to get the American people fired up, excited, jazzed, whatever you want to call it, excited about being Americans, about being citizens. I mean, this is a counter-revolution that we are involved in. And in order for us to be victorious, in order for us to win and look forward to our children and our grandchildren having a beautiful constitutional republic where our freedoms are still exist, it's going to take us to really sacrifice our time and other resources that we have. So anyways, thank you, Steve.
Thank you. And what we'll do is we'll get your cut for what you've been on, and we'll send it out to our 100,000 people, and we'll send it to you. You can get it out.
Absolutely.
And we will talk to you about getting President Trump on this thing. That would be great for our people, because I have people that give 12 hours a day, never make it. They pay to work. In other words, it costs them to be on and be out every day. And so that's unbelievable. And one of them is Tina Saline out in California. And one day I'll introduce you to her. She works with everybody in California. She got me 10,000 people in California. So there are people out there like that. And I have a whole list of them. So we will do that. Thank you so much for coming on. We love you.
All right, everybody. God bless.
You got it. All right, Raj, we got one more person. I'm not sure if Nancy Hayes is still there. If you could find her. If not, we'll close down.
Yeah, she is there. She's ready to go.
Nancy, go ahead.
Hi, thank you very much. And God bless General Flynn. And I just want to say thank you to you, Steve, for inviting me on, and shout out to Jim Womack and the Insight for switching times, because those wonderful grandchildren, they keep us busy. And like General Flynn says, that's what we're fighting for, is the next generation. So I totally agree when it comes to fighting for our nation. More people need to get engaged, more people need to be inspired, and more people need to get actively participating in our local elections and federal elections, because it all comes down to we the people. At the Illinois Freedom Alliance, what we have strongly promoted is, freedom is only guaranteed by our Constitution. And we have to be educated, and we have to actively participate in the political process. And that means that we provide education for citizens across the state and sometimes across the nation, for people that just don't know what they don't know. So we put on workshops, whether it's in Zoom or in person. It varies from what you want to learn or get educated on, whether it is voter rolls, voting machines, voter registration, poll observing, whether you need additional education on how to become an election judge. But it really comes down to, Dan Schultz and precinct strategy and precinct power. And that's why we're moving forward with precinct power in Illinois. And that is where it comes down. If we don't get the people engaged in the process, and that's what our Constitution was about when the people founded our great country. It was about local citizens being servants to their country. And we all need to realize that, just like General Flynn said, and step up and do it. Before I go any further, I just want to say God bless all of you that have served our country. Thank you so much. Whether you're in the Coast Guard, the Marine, the Navy, Army, National Guard, United States, any service, just God bless you and thank you for serving our country. So again, part of this comes back to getting engaged. And I don't care if you're engaged in a large organization or a small organization, you know, whether it's Illinois Freedom Alliance, whether it's the Election Integrity Network, whether it's True the Vote, Catherine Engelbrecht's been doing wonderful things. Whether it is getting Seth Keshel in to talk about his heat maps and understand the coordinated efforts and things that are going on in your specific precincts. Whether it is Dr. Frank coming in and analyzing your voter rolls, whether it is Cause for America or United Sovereigns for America. I don't care which organization you're involved in. Get involved today. Get involved. We have been working with groups for topics and education across our great state. I know we're now #1 in most taxed state in Illinois, and that's sickening in itself. But we have a supermajority Democrat in charge, and that's our biggest problem. What we're doing is to continue to educate people and again, focus on people getting involved and engaged in the process. So we've been working across the state. We've done things with the Tea Party Patriots. We've done things with the True the Vote, whether it's Cause for America, like I said, Dr. Frank, Seth Keshel. We have some great people out there that have been trying to do great things, like our wonderful lawyer and friend David Shestokas, who's a constitutional lawyer and does constitutional sound bites. And he has, you know, one example, he has stepped up to defend people if there was a constitutional violation or election integrity lawsuit. And he personally got fined $35,000. They wouldn't even let him present the lawsuit in front of a court. He didn't even get to the real level where he needed to be. So we're putting out information on various websites, including Election Narc. You can follow them on Facebook or Twitter. We've been writing stories for Grassroots Quarterly, Illinois Review, or the Illinois Family Institute. But, you know, whether you're a writer, whether you want to be involved in cleaning up voter rolls, whether you want to know more about election integrity and voting machines, because face it, people, if we don't get rid of these machines, we don't control the source code. And the source code is the problem. You know, you can talk about flip votes. You can talk about the data that we've shared across the board that shows the same people getting the same number of votes on election day, on early voting, and vote by mail. That's impossible. That doesn't happen naturally. And by the way, that data can be shared in regards to not just one county, like Crook County that I live in, but also DuPage County, Will County, Lake County. Any of those counties can share that. We have problems. We need major reforms. We need reforms that have to do with NVRA. We need HAVA reform. We need to eliminate drop boxes. We need equal access. How about just to the data election stuff that we have to pay for? And by the way, get rid of ERIC. They're supposed to be cleaning up our voter rolls. We're paying money for it, and they're not doing it. And how about whistleblower protection for those that have been helping us? And we could talk about voter ID, like Wouldn't it be wonderful if all of our states were like Wyoming, and if they didn't vote, our citizens didn't vote in an election, you had to re-register the next election? Wouldn't that be wonderful? Paper ballots. Yes, we need paper ballots. We need paper ballots audited. We need a paper trail. And we need wonderful courses like Jennifer Lubers is giving on hand counting. Yes, because sometimes the machines make errors like they do in Georgia when a mayor's race was really not lost, but actually won. And what determined it? People hand counting the ballots. And get rid of the Election Assistance Commission. That is not good. That is not good at all. And neither is CISA. I mean, basically the people that have been put in charge of protecting our national security and infrastructure for elections are ruining it. And that is the problem. You got the wrong people involved. So yes, I encourage every citizen to get involved in civic engagement. I encourage you to become PCs. I encourage you to be involved in cleaning up voter rolls, participating as poll observers, becoming an election judge. How about helping candidates just knock on door and get flyers out, write letters to your congressman, get engaged in the process, because in the end, our liberty depends on a government that operates with the consent of we, the people. So when it all comes down to it, God bless America, because if people don't engage in the process, we're screwed. And Emerald Robinson is putting out the news. If you haven't seen it on Twitter, you need to follow her, Emerald Robinson. So thank you very much, Steve. Thank you very much, Raj. Thank you very much, Dan Schultz. And thank you to all of those good citizens out there that are working hard to make this country great. Stay inspired, stay educated, and stay involved.
Great speech. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much. It was really wonderful. You really rounded it off. Raj, you want to come in and close it down? I'm worn out.
Steve, thank you so much for the work that you did. Huge effort. Couple of things. One, if you want to get the recording of the call, how do you do that? Go to sternamerican.com. Look for the Rumble link. And you'll see all of the videos that the Steve's team has put together. Anything that's live like this, click on the live tab, you'll see the recordings there. You just heard Steve talk about the conversation General Flynn had. Powerful conversation we just had. And Steve's team is going to take that and cut it and make it available. Please share that. Please share this. All of this information, please share. The more views that these videos get, the more likely they'll get found by people who don't even know that this call exists. So please do that. That's number one. Number two, please go to theflagshare.com. Please go to theflagshare.com. Why? Because every purchase you purchase at theflagshare.com helps cover some of the costs. It doesn't cover all the costs, but it covers some of the costs of putting these events together. There's so many people working behind the scenes to make this done. As you heard Steve say, so please do that. There are so many things. It's not the shirts, just the shirts that you see, but there's all kinds of accessories, women's wear, things for your home that you can get at theflagshirt.com. We want to wish Steve, he is going to go on a vacation. I don't even know if he's you know what, he's going out of town. But make no mistake, I don't think it's going to be a vacation. Unless someone can figure out how to kill all the cell phone signal near him, he's going to be working. So if someone knows how to do that, his wife will really appreciate you killing all the cell phone signals so he can't check his messages, because Steve is non-stop. So Steve, thank you for all the work you have done, continue to do. Thank you for Brett Stern, CEO of Flagshirt, for helping make this happen and underwriting all this. And Anthony Cafardi and Stephanie Castanda, I'm mispronouncing her name, but thank you for the hard work. Melissa. And how do you say her last name? I want to make it right.
Put her on.
All right, there you go. The lovely lady that's waving there. Thank you for all the work. Friends, we'll see you again next call, August 27th. Next call, August 27th. Put on your calendar, August 27th. We'll see you back here at that time. Thank you, Steve, for everything you're doing. We'll look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye-bye,
Thank you,
everyone.
Rod. Thank you. Without you, we couldn't do this. You're around the state.
All
I'm
together.
gonna stay home for a little while and relax. I'm going to be in Europe actually, so I'll probably see a few of your friends out there on the boat. All right, we'll see
That's
everybody
awesome.
soon. Thank you so much for showing up. Thank you for staying around. I'm glad everybody enjoyed it. I think General Flynn said it the way it was, and I'm glad that he came on, and he's going to help us get more people on. Thank you for all the podcasters, the Lindell TVs, the Cloud Hubs, the Facebook, the Rumble, the X, Getter, and Steve Bannon, who made it happen. Without him putting me on originally about a year ago and saying we're going to put this live, it never would have happened. So that's the way it goes. And all your input, sstern1054@gmail.com. And Raj, you want to give your email in case anybody wants to email us to give us input?
Raj@defendflorida.org. 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 All right, friends, have a good one. Good night. Good night. Good night.
The recording has stopped.